Hello and welcome to yet another TokuTonic shift. I'm your host, Zio Agito, here with our usual panel, except one extra person and one missing person, but then we've got the seat filler here just in case. So first off, here we go, the Oxy 360. Ash, how are you today?
I am doing great. I finally beat Xenoblade 3. Not Xeno, I didn't beat the game. I beat Chapter 5 and that 40-minute cutscene.
Told you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have your drinks ready? Did you have the waterworks going? Like, were you like, oh my god?
I think I'm in drinks for this, but yeah. Yeah.
Is that a Four Loko? Wait, it's like what? I was about to say, you drinking Four Locos at like 9 a.m. your time? You crazy.
I'm drinking at 10 a.m. So it's happy hour somewhere.
It's true.
You're right.
That plot reveal was crazy, and I'm sure it's going to get crazy moving forward with a certain character name drop that I heard in that cutscene.
No graph. Mark was binging DonBrothers. That's why he's not here.
Yeah, he's got a brain aneurysm from binging all of DonBros, which is why Mark is not here right now. It was too much. The combination of Cocaine Bear and all of DonBros is part of the reason why Mark just can't make it tonight. It's too much. It's too much.
Too damn much.
All right, and replacing Mark is our usual feet.
Oh yeah, I'm a feet warmer. I'm definitely a feet warmer.
Good feet warmer for tonight. There you go. That's why you're on the bottom. Hold on, let me organize. There we go. Now you can be my feet warmer. There you are.
Oh my god. Okay, bring those toes, yeah. Let's go.
All right. Yeah. Okay, Cloudy, how are you?
Oh, great. Ready for war, but I'm great.
All right, and then our special guest for this evening, the only person I've ever known to derail an entire Tokusatsu podcast, talking about French Canadians and whether or not Quebec actually exists. We got Knox.
I love this man already.
What's happening? Okay, hold on.
Can you explain?
But I wasn't ready for it. I'm sorry.
Can you explain? Can you please explain to the group what's this whole thing with Quebec?
So when back in December, we had this episode of Runaway Tokusatsu where I can kind of be a little, I don't want to say messy, but I wouldn't even say messy, just kind of antagonistic a little bit. And we ended up talking about how we hadn't really seen people from I almost said French Canadian, my dumb ass. People from from Quebec, like everybody from that region, like just kind of keeps to themselves, and the only thing we hear about is like video games and fucking syrup. Because we know about we know about like WB Studios, that's out there. But then we said so it's kind of this like running gag that everybody from whoever goes into Quebec never comes out. And if whatever just happens there, nobody knows about. So we had this whole thing where we were like, oh shit, it's the Justin Trudeau agenda and all this extra crazy shit about Canada.
Oh my god!
Like our shit turned into InfoWars against French Canada, and nobody carded me on it. Nobody called me on it, and I was like, oh, y'all just didn't watch the episode, or nobody trusts them.
Look, I swear, if Kamakiri Oger's actress is actually from that place in Canada,
Quebec,
you gotta answer.
He's gonna instantly be proven wrong.
We already know she's half Canadian, but where from Canada? See, once we find out this information,
big ass place.
True.
Yeah, but there's not that many folks there.
There's 13 provinces.
It's free real estate.
There are
free real estate over there.
I guess in your case, 12.
I don't know any of those locations. So, oh man, we already got people trying to say hate on the Yellow Queen. Nah, we ain't trying to hate on the Yellow Queen.
Yeah, listen, I sim for the Yellow Queen, if anything.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the waifu wars of King Oger.
I will sim for
that. Speaking of wars, I've got to settle a debate with Cloudy.
Do it.
And look,
you're wrong.
Okay, just first off, red velvet cake. Red motherfucking velvet cake.
Oh my
What-
God.
What's the flavor? What's the flavor of
It's
red velvet cake?
Or
Yeah,
shut
exactly.
up.
So
Get
it's
out of
flavor,
here.
right? It's red flavor.
It's like a chocolate. I
Yeah.
wanna say.
Yes.
Nah, that ain't it. That ain't
Yes,
it.
it is.
It's artificial. It's red dye.
Chocolate.
It's red
It's
dye number
chocolate.
4.
Let's
It's
go.
red dye number
Barlisi,
4.
I see you.
Red dye number 7. Nah. We ain't doing this. Nah.
Oh, Toku
it's a
guy even agrees with
chocolate.
me.
You gotta let
Let's
that go.
No.
Yes.
It's
Let's
chocolate
go.
with cream cheese frosting. That's what makes it taste good.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't
It's
taste
chocolate. Zio.
anything like chocolate.
So
You said
this
velvet.
started
It's
because
velvet
Zio
adorable.
hates chocolate cake. Zio
I do
absolutely
hate
hates
chocolate cake. But
But
I
he
love red
refuses
velvet
like
cake.
Velvet cake?
He likes red velvet.
like
but
red velvet
I
cake?
told him red velvet is chocolate cake. It's just
It's
chocolate.
not. It's not.
It's just dyed
Yes, it
red.
is.
That is vomit.
It is.
That is
Let's
vomit.
go.
No, absolutely not.
Yes, it is. And I told him
It's a
just
chocolate.
a placebo. You just think
No,
it's different.
it's got a lot of artificial flavoring in there.
It
that
is
thing
not
tastes
red
like red
flavor.
drink.
It
It's
cannot be
red.
flavor.
It's beet
not.
juice.
It's chocolate.
It's dye. It's all the dye in there. It's
It's
dye and
chocolate.
Where
syrup.
did I
Yeah.
hear red was a flavor from? Adventure Time.
Yeah, exactly.
Look,
I
you're
asked-
doing
I asked
hallucinogenics. You will just see it. You will see it. You will taste purple. You will taste
I
red.
told him what flavor red is, and I asked him what flavor red is, and he's like, "Red
Red.
is just a flavor of red." And I'm like,
Yeah, it's
"Not
exactly.
good enough. It's chocolate, Zio. It's chocolate."
It's like a sweet glue. That's how dye tastes. Very chemically.
It's
Like you shouldn't be consuming it, but you're eating it anyway.
oh my god.
Zio, I'm not gonna lie to you. When you ask questions like "What flavor is red velvet cake?" That's how people like call the FBI. That's how
Yeah.
they get involved. That's how the CIA gets involved. You start
No, I
asking
don't-
questions.
This is gonna go down a whole rabbit hole now. Like, this man was looking up how-to videos on how to make red velvet cake.
No,
Just
I looked
trying
up a documentary on red velvet cake. I watched that shit just to prove him wrong.
It's chocolate.
I told him
You
it's
said-
chocolate.
There's a hint. There's like
I even
It's
found
like-
out why it's called
it's
velvet
like a
cake.
tablespoon of cacao powder, and the
Ah,
rest
no,
is like
there's way more.
sugar and flour and
No.
a bunch of other shit.
No, it is plenty of cacao powder in there, Zio. There's plenty.
Nah.
It's plenty. And
So-
this has
Let me see
been-
this. Let me see this. Let me.
Oh
let
my
me
god,
see
you
it.
guys
Hold
are
on.
looking it up, aren't you? I've been down
Yes.
here before.
Because
I've
now
been
I
down
gotta.
here
'cause now
before.
I gotta know.
I'm right. There's no way.
Ingredients. Da 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 da.
Let's go,
Swear,
chocolate.
chocolate
Come
wins.
on, you better win this one.
Burning form's gonna be gone for like a year.
That's right. I'm gonna knock burning form out. Let's go.
It's chocolate.
Burning form. It's
Go.
not. It's not. It's a
Go,
hint
guys,
of
it's
chocolate.
It's chocolate.
Don't
Hints
be
of
fooled
chocolate.
by his
It's
lies.
hints of
Don't be
chocolate.
fooled by his lies. He's telling y'all lies.
Anything else?
Oh my god, I can't believe this was an argument all day
Is
yesterday.
chocolate winning for real?
It better.
Chocolate-
It's better. All right, I'm just gonna let
I'm keeping
you
this
guys
poll up until I win.
know. You ain't winning, Zio. I'm also voting for chocolate.
I'm keeping this poll up until I win.
You ain't winning, Zio.
Until
Not
I
tonight.
win is crazy. That poll
All
will be
right,
up
so-
for the rest of your life.
This poll will be up until the day you die, Zio.
Oh man, well, things gotta happen.
This
to
was a whole
accelerate that.
argument yesterday that ended with me losing my
Absolutely.
mod status.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He
Okay,
made a
so
rule.
Your
on
red is
Discord.
not a flavor.
yes, it is. It's
You can't-
artificial.
It's
Yes, you
not
can.
a flavor.
I can taste red.
You can taste red, Zio. Can you taste purple? Can you taste blue?
Yes,
Can you
absolutely.
taste yellow?
It's called like just having COVID twice. It's called having COVID twice. There it is.
You
Oh my
COVID
god.
twice.
He's
Being
only
one of
gonna
the first 100 cases in my state and then having it again last year.
Oh my god.
Sick.
No.
All right, so getting on subject before starting the stream, animating Andy hit us up with several super chats like right before. Like the first one was for 325, and of course I gotta do it for his honor. Which obviously he knew it was coming. He knew it was coming, but he accentuated it. So next one was for €10. I mean, is this euros or pounds?
Euros. I
Euros.
think.
Those are euros.
Okay, there we go.
Pound would have like
Do-
this weird.
They all have weird squigglies on them.
Yeah.
It's all play money to me until like I get to the
It's
American
all
dollar.
play
All,
bills.
money is
all
great,
fake
dude.
Monopoly play money.
They're all colorful. Yeah. I don't get it. It just looks like Monopoly money.
Oh my god.
All right. Do you feel Don Bros should have gotten a season 2? I personally believe so. I'm gonna try to buy as much media merch as I'm hoping it gets that wish. So for those on the panel, do you feel that this is a season that deserves a season 2?
6 seasons in a movie.
I'm about it.
Yeah,
I need more.
it could have happened. It could have happened, but I get the feeling we'll probably see them 10 years later down the line.
We better.
Knox, what do you think?
Well, so the rational person in me tells me that I have to let it go. I would love to watch DonBrothers for the rest of my life. If you want to, if we're being real, I want DonBrothers to go on into my 80s. I just want there to be different DonBrothers along the way. And I still want but I want Taro to still be Taro. And I'm sorry, I choked on my water. I want Taro to still be Taro and have him lead a team of different DonBrothers for the rest of my existence on this planet. However, do I think it deserves a season 2? No. I'm going to say no. And hear me out. I feel like the way that the stories of those characters and the way that they ended were like all the perfect endings for those characters. Except for maybe Taro losing his memories. That was insane. I don't really like that plot point, but we can get into that a little bit later. But no, I think it ended the way it should have. I think it should end, and it's time for us to move on, just like we have to every day of the year.
Now the thing is, I really feel that DonBrothers is like, I would probably compare it to like if Seinfeld was a toku, it would be like DonBrothers, aka it's a show about nothing, and they could just keep going with plot points after plot points, and you just consume it up like comfort food. It doesn't really have to like even take place within this timeline, because now we know that there's a future timeline in which had different sets of events that happened over there, played out similarly, but we just don't know how it went. Now the thing is, season 2, I don't think so, but Toei Tokusatsu fan club side content, absolutely. Hell, Yodana's still getting specials. Why can't we get like side specials going on with individual characters going on until like the 50th? My thing is, if they go that route, give me everyone except Taro. I don't want that Taro payoff until like the time is right. Because that's the entire thing. It's like the way they ended things. Yeah, the crossover does seem to take place after the series, so we'll see how they handle things with that aspect. But there could be time travel shenanigans with that as well, aka that they might pull a Taro from like mid-season to jump in, or something like that, or to Taro from the future after he gets his memories back, but the current Taro in the current timeline still is living the life that he's leading off. So there's honestly so many different ways that they could go about it that I think it could work to be supplemental content for this show. And given how Inoue is as a writer, like I can completely see it happening, especially since, if they had these type of side contents and stuff back when he was working on like the Kamen Rider shows that he was working on, you can bet that they would have gotten additional content tied into it as well. But we'll leave that for if not in a side video content, this man typically makes a novel version of all of his seasons that goes into even more details and gets even crazier than the context of the show. So we could always end up getting that as well. So the thing is, I believe this is not the end of Down Bros. We're still going to end up getting more.
True.
When it comes to it.
Although I do agree with you, Knox, that I think each character did, at least for the most part, got like closure throughout the season.
All right. So Animating Andy once again asking, are you gonna buy any more merch regarding DonBros? Because I know I am for sure trying to get all the DVDs, Blu-rays, music CDs, and maybe the Memorial Don Blaster. My love for DonBros is real, and I can tell you that almost about an hour before this stream, because I knew that these toys were about to start going discontinued, I went ahead and pulled the trigger and got my Dora Dragon Gin ordered. So that should be coming in like 3 days, so I can finally build up to get the full size final fusion God tie. So I'm excited for that. The Memorial Don Blaster, I'm debating it, but I'll have to see how my
You bought it?
Oh, I'm a monster. I have no self-control.
After I see how my bills are looking like in terms of the end of the week, once they come out of my bank account and I see what extra play money I have left over, I'm probably gonna pull the trigger. So that's where I'm at on that. Cloudy, I don't think you bought any DonBros merch, did you?
I did. I pre-ordered Oni Taijin, the first wave.
Okay. You gonna get any more?
Of course. I really wanted to get one of the glasses because they're expensive as fuck on P Bandai, but I just couldn't reasonably buy $300 sunglasses. That I can't.
Well,
if you bought those glasses, I'm banning you from my server.
Yeah, I really. I was just like,
I'm gonna laugh at you every time you get on VC chat. The second I see, I would laugh at you. You better get on camera and showcase them off.
Oh yeah,
they only really look good on those Rangers. No bullshit.
No, it's true.
And they're the real changers. That's the funny part about it.
Yeah, because in episode 6, if I'm correct, that's when what's his name started stealing them. Oh, wait, not episode 6. It was like 9 or something.
16.
Yeah, it's way past that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't even remember. It feels like one thing. But other than that, I would definitely get Taro's sword if they ever make like a bigger version
Memorial
of it.
Edition.
Because I'm usually huge into Memorial Editions. That's why I got the Memorial Edition Falchion and Saber swords.
And Nox, did you buy anything for DonBros?
Me personally, no. One of my friends bought me the Don Blaster and the Zanglass sword set when he went to a convention in Chicago, maybe 6 months ago. I think maybe tomorrow when I get a little bit more change, I'm gonna buy the bird. But as far as stuff, I really love this line. I love how everything is all connected to, every changer connects to something else, and this is connected here, and the Tiger Dora can be accessed via the Ryu Konogeki, and I love all of that shit. So I'm probably not gonna get the Ryu Konogeki or the Tiger Dora. I might get the Memorial Don Blaster.
Okay, so that looks like possibly 3 out of 4 of us are going to be buying Don Blasters. Cloudy.
Okay.
Cloudy.
So I actually did talk.
When you get paid again?
No, I get paid every Friday. But no, I talked to Shade about this because he has what's called the Zenkaiger Blaster, and I was asking him because I was looking at it because I was trying to see if it's worth it or not, because that's a lot of money for a Memorial Edition blaster. But it kind of is worth it. I'm not gonna lie. If I have the extra change, maybe by the end of the next week, I might put an order in.
Okay. All right. So then we'll be 4 for 4. Then I just got to get Mark to buy it. He'll probably buy it.
Mark's already got it. I think he's already pre-ordered it.
Shit. Well, there we go.
I'm pretty sure.
Animating Andy once again. For me, the actors and actresses are the main reason why I love DonBros, and that's really it. If it were other people, I doubt I wouldn't love it as much as I do now. I admit that I love them all and would want to meet them. This is definitely a cast and crew that I just got the vibe that they all meshed well together. Their chemistry, all as actors, was fantastic. Even when you're looking at the media that they would post up on TikTok and Instagram and things like that, it's just you could just feel the energy off of these guys, and they all worked well together. Even we got that hint early on with Haruka getting replaced in one episode with the actress that originally like auditioned for her role and didn't get it. And I'm just like, yeah, I couldn't imagine Haruka being played by this actress because like Kohaku Shida,
Facial expression.
the expressions that she manages to lay down there, it's like the fact that you can be this goofy and still carry yourself with poise and like and just carry the entire like bits that you're doing, is great. Plus, she did that fight scene in a car, which was still
I was gonna bring that up.
Best fight scenes ever. I should have thrown that into my Toku Awards. I forgot about it, but damn.
The Carfu with Murasame, fantastic. That was also one of the most dramatic episodes too, because we had a death in that episode as well. Technically.
Yep. Nox, what do you think about these actors in general?
Oh man, I know if there's anything that I could say, I'm going to start by saying I know that their screen test was crazy. I know when they got everybody together and they screen tested them, I know it was crazy. I know it was crazy. As far as like acting styles, as far as like the actors themselves go, they each go into their characters deeper than most other Toku actors have done. The only time like I would say that they've gotten remotely close was the build cast, but the build cast kind of put more of themselves into those characters, where like the actors for DonBrothers put more of like the characters into the characters, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So you felt like for I know this is going to sound crazy, but you felt like that these could be real people. These people could all be real people to a certain extent, even though they're bizarre and the world that they live in is bizarre. The way that they're portrayed, like you just had a great batch, and that goes for everybody. Nobody was miscast. Nobody. Well, I think blah 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 should have played that better. It was none of that. It was everybody. Wherever like somebody was placed, you can tell why they were placed there. I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Ash, what do you think?
Oh, I love them. Like even the minor characters that show up, like the random like Monster of the Week characters, they were a lot of fun as well. Like even if they were 1-bits. I mean, what was his name? The guy who turned into like 5. Yeah, he was like great as well. And I feel like the cast really carried themselves. And I don't know how popular they are in Japan, if they'll be back for like specials and other seasons or movies moving forward. But I would love to see them again because of their like screen presence. Like they really carried it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The way that this cast, like, and even finding out, like, you guys see that clip of Ace's actor like doing the Momotaro laugh?
Yes.
And I'm just like,
I've not seen it. I've not seen
oh
that.
my god, yeah, it completely breaks some of these dynamics. But even then, it's like it's not just the main cast, but it's like Kaito's actor, like coming off the heels of Zenkaiger, and then like playing a complete 180 character and still making it work. And it's just like you also still flow well with the cast. The way that he interacts with them so nonchalantly is always hilarious, especially as they're trying to get more out of him and he's trying to like still keep his composure. Like I remember when they found the secret menu item and they were trying to look back at the board and he was like, nah. Or when Haruka got that painting done of her fat head and he's just like looking at it like, I just spent money on this. I don't want this. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. So yeah.
Nose.
Oh yeah, even carrying on like the really goofy scenes with his serious composure. It's great stuff. And like all the actors, they even got to be the Monster of the Weeks. Like before this stream, I like quickly went through every episode in the show just to grab some screen grabs and stuff. And like even thinking about like the coworkers that Taro helped out, try to meet with his mother at the end of that episode. Great. That lady with the son issues with the piano, great acting there. Even Ghost Girl, Kirara, like the idol chick, great moments indeed. And of course, the all-star of it all, Minoru, who turned into so many Hitotsuki.
Yes.
Just carrying everything. He needs to return back. If there's
He's got to be in the
someone
special.
else,
So
he's
for sure.
got to be there for the crossover. I won't take any other way. This man needs his own side special. Like, absolutely fund it. Unsung hero.
I wish you got to keep the crown at the end.
He tossed it. That's why in my review for it, I was like, nah, I'm gluing that shit back in your head. I played that video in reverse.
Nice.
You keep this crown, King. You keep this crown.
Dude, he just came up everywhere. Like technically, he would have been a Totsuki even more times, but they had to steal one from him once because they're like, oh yeah, this guy's definitely gonna awaken again. We should just take it from him.
Yep. Just take those powers, give it to Shinichi so they can, like, great dynamic when it comes to
Absolutely.
that. Nox, were you gonna say something?
I had you just gave me an idea. You gave me an idea, and I forgot. I glossed over it, but I was thinking about it. You talked about how Kaito was well done too, and how it was Kita. What's his name? Kita Komagine. He is phenomenal. You can tell like Kaito was easy. Kaito like old Kaito was easy. This was like the role that solidified him as like a man who can be an actor. Like
absolutely,
because this Kaito is so different. He's a whole different person. He really sold me on the fact that this dude is not the same dude from Zenkaiger. He's a completely different man. Like that's how you do it. That is how you sell that. And he did. In a way, not watching Zenkaiger is one of the best things to ever fucking happen to the show. Love it.
Oh no,
love it.
Absolutely. And the fact that he could just write him like that, it's great. And I gotta see how this is even going to be addressed in the crossover. Like it's gotta be a thing.
I gotta see him in an Evil Knievel outfit again, please.
Man, that was hilarious. That was hilarious how he just brought out the Evil Knievel drip, and it was amazing. Last one from Animating Andy was he's got to go to sleep now. This was literally right before the stream started. So here's one last one for the night, just because we both love DonBrothers and obviously hope to get more. As long as the original cast comes back, no replacements. That's one thing that really does suck as we start getting further like away from the seasons and they bring back like the suits for crossovers, but then you can tell it's not the original actors in there. They're not even using the same voice clip. This is more prevalent in Kamen Rider crossovers than anything. And I'm like, just like, if you can't bring the cast back, I don't want it. Like, it's just a suit. It's like they're wearing their skin. It's not the same folks. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like Rider Man. That's not his face. That's too young. That's not the same guy. It's just a guy wearing a suit.
I want them to give Rider Man a beard so bad.
Oh my god!
A beard. They're not gonna fucking notice. This has been 50 years. They don't know who this motherfucker looks like. Give him a beard.
Imagine if like Tsubasa from Decade came back every time, but it was just a different actor.
I mean, look at Joe Odagiri. Yeah, exactly. All right, so I ended the poll with chocolate at 45%. Red flavor did get 40%. So, you know, we're within margin of error. Only because you pushed it. That's only because I added a third option of neither that was 14%. And I will gladly take the neither. I will gladly take the neither because the neither plus the red flavor supersedes.
That's not how this works.
It completely supersedes chocolate. It completely supersedes it.
It was 58% for majority of that. It was the Dom.
Cloudy, stop trying to rig this election.
Stop coping. Stop coping. That's all I ask.
I am over here representing the red velvet.
And you're wrong. You are a
red flavoring
and a fraud.
Raph said red's too high in my opinion, and I agree because
it is.
What is red flavoring? You got to describe that, bro.
You're like, if you want
get food coloring and then just down it. Yeah, just down it.
No.
Yeah, down some. No. Do it.
Listen, it's chalk. Hey, I did not rig the poll. I didn't even have an idea this was gonna happen.
Okay, so
Sorry.
before
No, it's not.
so to add even more hilarity to this, anybody that saw my Twitter saw that I got a couple of drinks
Yes, let's go. Finally.
before this.
Yes.
Before this, so a little bit of context. I think I'm gonna do this anytime I have a show discussion. So for those of you that watch the live stream for the Revice discussion, I ate the Pocky's one chip challenge during that stream, and needless to say, I regretted it. So for this time, in the context,
I didn't miss
us
it, did I?
talking-
I didn't miss it, did I?
No. So
Okay,
in the context of me talking about Red Velvet Cake on Discord, and Cloudy, you left for this. I was like, I wonder if there's like weird, like if there's like a Red Velvet Cake soda, and that led me down a rabbit trail, like a rabbit hole of bacon soda.
Oh yeah,
And-
Lester's.
Yes, Lester's brand.
I was there.
And
I
then-
was the one who told you about the horrible ranch flavor.
Yeah. So afterwards, I went ahead and Googled it, saw if there was any places in my town that sold this soda. So I got myself the ranch dressing soda
Mm-hmm.
and the mustard flavored soda.
One of those
Okay.
is
Hold on a second.
significantly
Let me
worse
pray.
than the other one.
So the thing is, oh God, look, this is gonna come. Like for those of y'all that don't know, I've been on keto for 2 years. This is gonna knock me out of keto instantly. Because looking at this, oh my God, the total amount of carbs is 43 grams.
This is
43 grams. That hurts me. That hurts my soul. That hurts my soul.
Not dip the chip in both.
God damn.
No. So this is what's gonna happen on this live stream. I'm gonna drink one of these flavors. On tomorrow, I'm gonna be on with Frankie and Sergeant Hooked on Heroes on their Henshin Homies live stream, and I'm gonna drink the other one there. So I'm gonna die for 2 nights straight. So I'm asking you now, what flavor do I drink? So I'm
You
making
gotta
the
do the
poll.
ranch.
So
You gotta-
remember, the options are ranch and mustard. So I'm gonna open this up now.
As someone who's had both of these, can I just say to the audience, ranch is significantly worse than mustard, and not by a close margin.
So yeah, that's what's gonna go on there. So I'll let that poll run for a little bit. So moving on to things. In terms of just the general vibe of DonBros. So the thing is, like, we've talked a little bit about the series as a whole, but I want to start getting into a little bit of the nitty gritty. And I want to start off with the initial scans when we first saw DonBros. Because the thing is, I feel a lot of people have come a complete 180 from the initial reviews. Yes.
I was going to say, should we go back a little bit when we heard rumors about CGI Rangers and everyone's reaction to that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we can go ahead.
Bro, originally, like a lot of people thought it was going to be 3 CGI Rangers, wasn't it?
I think so.
A lot of people thought that it was going to be just yellow and red were going to be actual like characters, and then the rest of them were just going to be played by voice actors. That was a lot of things. And the thing is, once we actually got the suit reveals, that just added more fuel to the fire, because that's what people legitimately thought, was that Sar brother, Kiji brother, and Inu brother were all just going to be played by voices. They were going to be like the Imagins and the Kikanoids of this series, leaving it just being red and yellow. And I'm glad to see that was wrong, because when we got that press conference, it was a night and day difference. But in terms of initial scans, I would say that the only thing that was keeping me somewhat interested was just that Inoue name tied into it, because the suits didn't do it for me. The CG didn't do it for me. Like, the entire name sounded so odd by Sentai conventions in general. So it was just like, what are y'all even smoking thinking about this? Like, that's got to be that good stuff, because I know Inoue's got some stuff still hidden in his pantry from the 80s. So shit. Like, y'all out here still
Some
roasting
shit,
this
man.
stuff.
You thought he pulled it all out?
Yep.
We got
The
the
stuff
Jetman
back
pack.
when he thought to kill Guy Yuki at the end of Jetman, he was just like, "Yeah, I'm pulling this out for this whole series." So Ash, what did you think about all of the initial like concepts, viewpoints, and things like that before we got to the press conference when it came to Don Bros?
It was like weird leading up to it because no one knew what the season would look like or what it's going to look like. And hearing the name, it was such a weird name because it was like Avataro. So a lot of people thought it would be video game based. And when we saw the suits, they've got the D pads on their knee pads. So I thought it was going to be very video game centric or something like that. And that's what like sort of Gates was kind of like is like but I thought it'd be very video game central with everything going on, but they would have the Momotaro story thrown in there. But I was kind of worried with how these suits would look like because I had no idea what I was getting into with this. And yeah.
All right, Cloudy, what did you think?
I was prepared for this season to be an acid trip. I was from everything I heard and from what I was witnessing, I was like, this is either going to be like the most hilarious Sentai of all time, or this is going to be the worst thing I've ever seen on TV in a while, and I'm going to enjoy myself either way. So either way, I was very excited for this because I was like, if it's super bad, I got something super bad to look forward to every week.
Mhm.
If it's super, funny, then I got that going on for me. So I was very like optimistic either way. But I just didn't think there would be an in between. I thought it would be either very funny or I thought it'd be really, really bad. And I'm so glad that I was wrong on both sides for the most part. Because not only was it very funny, it was just such a great character drama. Sorry.
It was. Yep. Knox, what did you think?
I think because, like, how long have y'all been watching Tokusatsu?
13 years.
So just going on to the Japanese side of things, 2004.
Okay.
Probably 2015, not weekly, but like my first exposure to it was with the Shout Factory DVDs, but I've been watching Power Rangers and stuff since the beginning. So
yeah, Power Rangers
I've
since
been-
'93, but Japanese stuff since 2004.
Oh yeah.
2004.
Oh, it's Power Rangers.
I started watching Toku Weekly in when Forze got started. But I was watching Gokaiger, which it sounds crazy as hell, but I was 12. So I don't know what to tell you. It's a little psychotic, but I was 12. So towards maybe when I got to 2021, I started when Zenkaiger came out, and it was the first time we had a team like that, and there were like rumors, kind of like rumors, but not rumors, of Shirakura saying that these next few years leading up to 50, like there was like the 3-year plan, and there was this whole bunch of shit leading up for the next 3 years that we're going to do and all this X, Y, and Z. I'm sure y'all remember that when that came out.
Yep.
I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't excited, and I wasn't really not excited. I was just kind of curious. I said, okay, because I want to say they trademarked on the first day, they trademarked maybe 10 different words, like one being Avataro, and then like 5 other different words that they just straight up trademarked. I was like, okay, this is a little weird. And then I don't think we got anything else. I think this information cycle was the cycle that we got the least. Because usually we get shit like maybe in November. I don't think we didn't get anything until December last time, didn't we?
No, and I mean part of the reason why was because the toys like were recycling the old Zenkaiger stuff. So because of that, like even toy leaks were virtually non-existent, and that's normally where we get a lot of our information is toy leaks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was weird. It was very weird and very new for me to just. I think it was new for everybody, but it was very weird and very new for me to not for us to not see or really hear or really know anything. So I was confused, and then the poster came out, and I was like, oh, this tells me nothing. This tells me that there are going to be 5 Rangers, and one is really tall and one is really short.
Oh god.
I don't know what this means at all, and I need help. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I just don't know. Maybe I'm the asshole, and I'm just assuming that. I mean, I could be assuming maybe he just looks short from this angle. That just might be what this is. Maybe they got an actual dog to be a ranger.
Oh, hell yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Who knows? So when things started coming out, I didn't really get I guess you could say I didn't really have any feelings towards it until Dama Motaro's cameo. And I was like, okay, he's a little cocky, he's loud, he's cocky, he's confident. I fuck with that. It's cool. It's not really, I mean, I've seen it before. We've seen loud, cocky, and confident. We've only really seen the way he handles swordplay and shit. We've only seen that the last time we saw that in big detail was not Go Busters. Not Go Busters.
Trying to think of big cockiness. Would it be
not
King
cockiness, but I
Karuja?
mean with fighting styles, scenes that
same.
she actually.
Ooh.
When was the last time we saw that? No,
Been a
because
while.
the Go Busters were really good at hand to hand too,
True.
and they had really enjoyable fight scenes. Shin
I would
Kendra was before.
Yeah, Shinkenger was before because that entire era was just hitting. So
I would argue
It really was.
some of Real Soldier's fight scenes, especially towards the beginning, were pretty good.
Okay,
with the
yeah,
sword
I'll
play.
say Ryu Soldier. We'll give
At
him
least
that.
with the
I'll
sword
say
play.
Ryu Soldier. With the sword play. So I was like, okay, cool. I mean, this is all confusing. I was confused. The long story short story long, I was confused. So I didn't really have any opinions yet.
yeah, and the I would agree that the appearance of Don Momo in that episode of Zenkaiger just made me more confused than anything. I didn't even know how to expect this character. It's okay, so he comes off very OP, so he must come further down in his timeline and stuff like that, only for us to later realize, nah, Taro always pulls shit out of his ass. He's always been OP. From the get-go, even late into the game, it's just oh, you got a power-up, Jiro? Well, I can turn gold for no fucking reason. And then just turns the Dononi Taijin to fucking gold.
Listen,
It's
man
just
didn't even need Phoenix for the final fight.
He didn't. Honestly, there was no reason for him to get a power-up. Outside
never
of
needed
just having that ballsy, helmetless scene, at that episode, I think it was 46, 47, where he's just out there with the big Momo energy. But yeah.
All he needed was he just wanted a cape. He just wanted to try it on.
Yeah.
So while killing time with that, the poll ended and the ranch won.
Yay, let's go.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
75%.
oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm not.
Oh man. Oh man.
Rip.
Oh,
Fucking rip.
hey, you don't have to do this.
Oh my
brother.
god.
Yeah, it's that bad, Zio.
It smells legit just like ranch dressing.
Ranch. Yeah, it's that bad, Zio.
And it's ice cold. That's crazy.
All right. I'm about to
All right, you have it cold. I had mine warm. Yeah.
Okay,
No.
let's go.
Are you
you
okay,
feeling?
Zio? Zio, are you okay? Please blink twice if you're okay.
Oh my god, what was that?
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh my god, it's the aftertaste. It's the aftertaste.
Yes.
It's the fucking aftertaste.
Oh yeah. He's not gonna recover from this, trust. It's that bad. If it
The
makes you feel
aftertaste.
better, tomorrow's gonna be better because mustard isn't as bad as that.
I think it helped that it was cold
Okay.
because I only tasted sweetness going in my mouth. And no, this is probably the most. It's definitely the most amount of sugar I've had in my body in over 2 years. So I'm gonna die
Oh
I haven't ingested sugar in so. Oh my god.
Oh Lord.
I know your birthdays are crazy.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I black out drunk the majority of times. Oh my god.
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna feel this. I'm gonna.
At least it's not in your sinuses.
Yeah. Hey,
That's
listen.
good.
You didn't have to sip it. At least you just chugged it all in one go.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely chugged that in one go. I'm gonna regret all of this.
Oh yeah.
All right, so moving on to the next topic. let's discuss some character arcs.
He's like,
I'm so sad right now. Oh my god!
You better eat some carrots or something to make sure.
Gio,
it all
you
go
better
down
hope
smooth.
in the next 20 minutes you don't have to burp. That's all.
Oh my god! I'm gonna just drink more alcohol to numb the pain away.
Oh, no.
The taste is out of my mouth now, so that's good. But I know if I get them burps, I will
coming
die.
back.
I will die. All right, so character arcs. Let's break down some of these individual characters. What we liked about them, what we didn't like about them. How was their travel from the beginning of the show to the end of the show? And I'll start off with the easiest one. Shinichi does haiku. I swear, like when I did my first review with him in there, I was like, Shinichi does haiku. Even when I did my last episode review, and when everybody went off and did their own separate ways, it was like Shinichi does haiku. That's it. That's all he does. that's his character arc. Is you went from having a lot of imagination to still having a lot of imagination. And I still wonder, how's he pay for his goddamn food? Like
Imagination money. You remember? He just takes it with his imagination.
Look. Originally, they showed us that the food was imaginary and all that stuff. But in like those last goddamn episodes, when Sonozo was bringing him that parfait, that was real.
Yeah, that was real ice cream on his couch.
That was not imaginary, like dried skeet on that man's lap. Absolutely not. No, that was real. That shit was real.
Oh yeah,
that was real. So thoughts on Shinichi, Cloudy?
I think Shinichi is probably one of the least developed members of the Dawn Clan for sure. I don't think he was a bad character at all.
Now.
He's actually, oh my god, it's gonna be there for a while. But I think he fit the mold that he was made to fit, if that makes any sense. Like he was a very good supportive character for Haruka in the beginning of the show because they both were like just getting into this stuff and they both wanted to figure out like how to get out. So he was very good foil for that bit as well because he was just a fish out of water for this whole situation. So I like that. He basically his whole thing was like he hated money, he hated anything that was like that felt like corruption or anything that, you know, got rid of his creative integrity. And I like that because like for the most part that was just who he was as a person. And obviously when we saw him in the alternate timeline, that version of him outgrew all that stuff apparently, which is very funny and weird to see because by the end of the show he throws his own like scarf thing away. I don't know what.
No, he throws it on his haiku to show that his imagination was real. Made that shit physical.
So
he manifested words.
I know it was really cool and to see, but I don't know, and I don't know if it symbolized him like growing out of maybe that like money is corrupt thing, evil thing, because he's never spoken of that. But it felt like he didn't grow too much from the beginning of the series to the end, but I feel like he at least had some change that felt very emotional. Although he was never really a proper second in command, if that's what we're
I really feel that out of the blues, like your typical blues in Sentai, he is a weird one. He is definitely the weirdest oddball blue out of the bunch.
Because he's not like
you can't personify him as like a second in command, but then you kind of do get that vibe near the end when he's working with the Notos to help bring back Taro and the rest of them in terms of formulating that plan. It's just like, okay, this is where your actual like blue like side is starting to come in, like as being the second in command in that sense.
He did have like, I would say he made the most common sense out of all of them at certain points, more than the rest of this, for sure. Although I will say, it was kind of weird to see. Like, we have a blue that's not like the cool archetype or the nerd archetype or the techie archetype, or have a rivalry with the red archetype, which is like very odd. But that's because I guess we had another blue for that.
We did. We did have technically a proper blue for that. Nox, what did you think about Shinichi?
I would argue that when he got his when he finally got his time to shine towards the end, when he finally got his time to shine towards the end, that's where he showed up. His lesson, I was talking to Christian about this about a couple of days ago, and these are his words. I'm not going to say that these are mine, but him saying that Shinichi becoming a more capable leader and really figuring out that him coming to terms with not knowing all of the answers all of the time and not always having to be the smartest guy in the room and being able to leave when they were fighting the generals and he left it up to Sonoi instead of him taking the blow for himself. And well, I told you that y'all need to listen to us. He didn't do that. He realized that he made a decent call as a decent pseudo leader, second in command. He made a call as a second in command to put his trust into Sonoi. And I realize, and that says a lot about where he's come from again, him being the man with everything, all of the answers, and him being stuck in his ways to him becoming more flexible with the way he operates.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that notion on there. Ash, what did you think when it came to Shinichi's arc?
Like, I like his arc at the end. He did have one of the worst one of the worst
character focus
episode. The ramen episode, that was not the best episode, I will say that. I did like him at the start where he had to stick up his ass. Like, there was that episode where him and Haruka were teaching the class, and that's when you find out about his money thing, and he did seem like he'd be a foil to Haruka. But he was kind of the smartest guy in the room at some point, but with the characters interacting with him, no one took him that seriously, it felt like, because of how much of a goofball he was. But I feel like he did have his moment to shine. He's not the worst Blue Ranger, but he's like you guys have said, he's very different. He's not the cool type. He's not the smart one. He's just like somewhere in between in his own world. Like, he's the cool guy in his own world with like his points of views and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the way that he carries himself definitely became a little bit of a problem later on in the season, especially since he had a I know better than you when it comes to like this team, when the Notos were trying to come in, and he's just like, nah, we're the A team, you're the reserves. I know how this shit works. Like, y'all don't know. And it's starting to buck heads with Sonoza, and I was just like, ooh, that's a dynamic I didn't know I wanted, but there it is. It's good shit. Yeah,
because he was the most vocal during that meeting when they were sort of forming the alliance. Like, he was the one who had his foot down.
And the thing that was weird about that entire interaction as well was because, of course, Taro was gone, so he was like the face of the team. And they were like, well, how would Taro handle having the Notos join us? And he was like, well, Taro wouldn't want them to join just like that. It's just like, do you not know this man? He would just be like, interesting.
Welcome, my companions.
Yeah, welcome, companions.
It's just like, you clearly don't know Taro like you think you know Taro, but okay. Just go right there.
He wouldn't.
Yeah, I would say from that episode, one of the funnier things was that you had both of them like across from each other, and both like the leaders, respectively, of their teams, like Sonoy and Taro. Neither of them were very much active in really the debate. It really just came down to like a fight between Sonoza and Shinichi about
Shinichi, yeah.
whether they would join or not, because they both were like, the one thing we can agree on is we neither of us want to join teams.
So next up would be pretty much the entire guessing game that trolled us so much. It would be Tsubasa in terms of him and the dynamic, or rather lack of dynamic, with the team. The fake outs. Everybody thought this man would get revealed to the team so much earlier. Like, they rode this boat for as long as they could. Because almost every episode, everybody was just like, is this the moment? Is it going to happen now? Is this it? And we never got it. We got cock teased so much until we finally got it, which made it worth it. But then his character arc, I would say, is one that just seems so odd for the reason of he did so much to try and get Natsumi back. So much shit. And in the end, he loses her, and he's just like, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, it's like, bro, you just wasted 1.5 years. Like, you were out here just completely trying to track her down, like dodging everything going on, dealing with the fact that you were chased down by the cops for, I'm just going to say this now, his friends from the theater troupe that are still knocked out. No one gives a fuck about them. They're still passed out. They never got brought back. They're still sleeping. Like, that was the whole reason why the cops were coming after them.
I thought the people in the judo force got...
No, those were only the people who got accepted.
Yes, those are the people that actually got... Yes, remember, when you are fed the origami, only if you are successfully taken in by a judo do you go to the forest. If you fail, you just pass out. His friends were passed out. They never woke up.
Oh.
And they never explained that plot point. They're still.
So we never got a scene of them waking up or anything. Never a talk of it. Never so much as.
Some say they're still sleeping to this day.
That's true.
So yeah,
just like Kaido in that tree.
Exactly.
I mean, that wasn't him, but that's what Twitter would have you believe, that was Kaido in that tree. But they were so sure that he was the penguin Juto.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
but
like I might.
But yeah, Tsubasa as a character was definitely, you can't have one without the other, because of course Tsubasa's story was also intertwined with Sonone's, and the entire thing dealing with her trying to comprehend like true love, not being able to understand it, him, saying that he understood true love, which is funny now looking at the end of things. He thought he had this whole thing figured out with Natsumi, and yeah, it didn't go anywhere. Didn't go anywhere at all. So it's just like, okay, so how much of love did you truly understand, Tsubasa? Because clearly it didn't work out for you, but
true.
So yeah, Nox, I'll start with you. What did you think about Tsubasa?
I'm going to say this now. Tsubasa Inuzuka is one of the greatest Black Rangers to ever really do it.
Let's go! I love this.
Yes.
Let's go!
If not the greatest Black Ranger to ever really do it.
Absolutely.
So, from his character arcs to his fight scenes, his story, like I said, all due into the part of the script writing and the wonderful acting that's been going on with everybody that's in the cast. His story is the one that like really gets you. That's the one. Like, they all get you, but that is the story that had us held by the neck. Everybody wanted to know every week what was going on with this poorly made CGI dog that not even gonna lie, his first fight, even though it's like poorly made CGI, his first fight, like his first solo fight where he becomes he does like his full-blown transformation into Inu brother, and he's kicking ass and throwing his little shuriken around, like to kind of find out that like a little bit later that he can kind of like handle monsters on his own, that you don't need everybody to handle your monster. He's the blueprint. Tsubasa Inuzuka is the man for that. Like, he is on fight scenes notwithstanding, because we can talk all day about Tsubasa versus Miho, or Tsubasa when he got his body back and they did that camera angle where they did it where he walked under the camera and it panned out. That was I guess not the cold close, but I'm sorry.
No. I'm just agreeing with you.
No, that wasn't the cold close, but what do they call it at the end when you have the extra scene right before the credits? It would kind of like
the post-credit scene.
I guess it would like kind of be like a sort of a post-credit scene. It felt like a post-credit scene the way that it happened. It felt like a post-credit scene when he got out of the Juto forest. Like, he came back with a motherfucking vengeance and went about his day. Like it was insane. Fighting notwithstanding, though, him being the only person, like, there are a lot of things in DonBrothers, the little shit, that is like really fucking good. So him being like the only cook in the show to actually impress Taro, not the only cook, him and Jiro, but we'll get to that when we get to Jiro. But him being like the first cook in the show to impress Taro, gold shit. And him being able to figure out that that version of Tsubasa wasn't Tsubasa by the way he made Chinese food.
Yeah.
Pressure.
Yep.
Pressure.
True.
Pressure. That shit is so great. That shit is so great. The detective judo. Yeah, that's right. Their whole thing.
Yep. Yeah, I did want to mention that later, but we do have to mention that.
Before this stream, I was trying to gather up a compilation of all the deaths in DonBros, but I didn't have enough time. Like, he was going to be in there. The baby was going to be in there. Like, all the deaths in DonBros. I had gathered all the clips. I just didn't compile it. That will probably just become a YouTube short or something later on, but whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So for him... go ahead.
So for him to be on that side of it as well, but interpersonally, his relationship and him being like the prospect of like the day you get engaged, because I don't know what it is about like villains and Sentai and taking like people's partners away the day they get engaged. That shit is crazy to me. So it makes that the Ranger all the more determined. But I will say it worked with Lupin Blue, and it works here. That's always, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the extra seasoning they put in that plot point is that makes it so good. But if it ain't broke, you know what I'm saying? So his determination and on Sononi, I know we'll get there, but it's how they relate to each other. Sononi like falling in love with this man's drive to go see I'm blanking on girl's name. He said it all. Natsumi again. Yeah. And for all of that to end up just kind of going, Natsumi going, oh yeah, I lived the dream. I already had the dream. I'm gonna go chase the dream. And having Natsumi end up being all like not all like she was like cracked up to be. That's also like one of the good things about the writing though. Because that's life. That's life. You can do all the fighting in the world for somebody. You can go in, do whatever, climb earth, heaven, water, fire. Everybody who's saying September, you can climb them too. And just to get somebody back or to fight for them. But if they fall out of love with you, man, there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. And that's the one that hurts. It is great.
All right. Ash, what did you think when it came to Tsubasa?
Again, one of the best Black Rangers we've had in Sentai. The thing with Tsubasa, like what everyone's been saying, like we were wondering when we'd get the reveal, but not only that, we'd wonder when he'd like clash with Kijino, because like once we found out, oh shit, they've got the same like partner. Everyone was wondering like what's gonna happen to Kijino, but when we finally got the clash between them was really cool to see. But not only that, he was such like the actor brought such a cool presence when he was on screen. Like just his energy, I really enjoyed. But not only that, the character was like a lot of fun, and you were wondering when he joined the team, when he'd actually find out like the mystery, because a lot of people were wondering because he was wanted for a crime, so everyone was like, "Oh shit, what did he do?" And then we find out what it was. It wasn't a big deal. Like he just had to outrun the cops for a year, but then it's just his drive and motivation, and then his sort of resolve at the end where he was just easily able to move on was kind of shocking, but how simply he was able to do it and be like, it's just the way it's meant to be was kind of cool as well. But yeah, Inu brother, really cool character.
Yeah. Cloudy, what did you think?
I think Tsubasa easily is like my top 3 favorite characters of this entire series, and definitely one of the best Blacks since Mega Black, honestly, because Mega Ranger Black was one of my favorites as well.
Oh,
But,
he was cool.
oh yeah, but this guy, everything Tsubasa did, like everything he did for Miho, was just insane. Like the shit he went through and put himself through for that entire year, just for her. Like whether or not because we did get glimpses of her personality a few times, and I remember both me and Zio were like, I don't think she's that great of a person. Like, because if you see like how vain she came off of, like every time she came out, like I was just like, wow, this is the person he's in love with. And that's not even something to say. Like, the fact is, like, Tsubasa, even though he also comes off as like this cool and mysterious character, especially more towards the beginning, you find out he's actually quite goofy, especially like how he got into like makeup and costume that one episode where he got beat up by Jiro and became Utotsuki himself, if I'm correct. It was it's like when you got closer and knowing him more, he just opened up, and there was just so much to like about this character. Because like besides just the obsession over Natsume, he was very loyal to like the other Don clan members. Like you saw like him help out as well many times. And obviously him and Sononi, him showing her like at least his ideal of love and her responding to that was honestly something that was really good to see, because you kind of got the feeling like throughout the entire season, like she was going to fall for him. How is this going to end up? Because, she's a Noto, he's a human Don clan member, can't end well and all that stuff. And obviously he's one of the few Rangers who has a body count, which is pretty cool.
And moving into like the whole Natsume of things, which will segue into Tsuyoshi after this, Natsume as a character, like even like quickly rewatching a lot of scenes from early episodes, their love was always one-sided. Like you could always like tell it, even in a lot of the flashbacks, because if you noticed back when he was getting ready to propose for her, he took out a credit card and was just spending money he didn't have on her just to impress her type deal. And afterwards, when we got to see the Crane Juto portray proper Natsume, we saw how much he was just living off of handouts from other guys type deal. And maybe Tsubasa knew that, and he was just like, oh, maybe to impress her, I got to be able to have money like these guys do as well, that type of thing. And even with like their conversations, it was constantly like, oh yeah, I bet you say that with all the girls, because she's used to like talking to guys that are players. So having this one guy who actually was being sincere about it, she did not properly take that sincerity either. Like it was never reciprocated in terms of his storyline, and he was just too love struck to see it himself, but he still, tried to move heaven and earth to get her back, only to get bit in the ass by the end. But by then he had already like accepted that this outcome was a real possibility. And that's the other thing, is like he knew in the back of his mind that this was always the possibility that could happen, and he was cool with it, which speaks a little bit more to his character on that end.
Zio,
but
can I can I bring something up quickly, because Common Spider said something and that kind of made me remember this. Common Spider said like he's loyal like the dog, obviously, that he's character, Ranger form is portrayed off of. But like when I think about that, it's true. Like he is like one of the most loyal characters to every character in the show, because even at the end when he gets Natsume back, he still goes to Kijino to make sure he's okay. Like, or at least try to. Like he didn't like. It's not like he forgot or moved on from that. At least he wanted to get closure for that.
The interactions that they had, the two of them as well, was great, which moves us to Tsuyoshi Kijino, who was a shocker, like, first male pink and Sentai, and everybody was just like, oh, this guy's gonna be fun, but they were thinking more of like, look at him, he's a wife simp, he's gonna be like the nicest guy ever. Like you can't beat this guy.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
little did they know, it was cooking for this man. Listen, like, you were about to get triple served with this man. Going through a whole character psychosis arc completely. Like, and all the seeds were there just in terms of like him trying to prove himself to his wife. And the thing is, like, we never got like proper like backstory on like his own family. Like, does he just not have like parents, siblings, or anything like that? Is literally his wife the only thing that he's ever had, and that's why he's such a big like wife simp in terms of that aspect. But even then, like, the clinginess that he had and just not wanting to lose that one family member that he had, especially when someone else is trying to claim that that's not even real what he has. Of course, you can kind of understand why this man would go crazy to the extent that he did. And to the fact that I can't wait for us to properly get the Blu-rays and we get at like the deleted scenes of the episode in which he actually does have his mental breakdown. Once he finds out that his Miho was Natsumi, and like just great moments in general. But even then, there are a lot of folks that are like, he did not deserve the happy ending that he got. I think that man deserved it. I really do think that man deserved it, because he literally, like, what he went through that year was indeed real. It was real enough for Natsumi, and she was dreaming it.
True.
And clearly he was able to provide just a simple, like, humble household between the two of them. And it wasn't to the lap of luxury like what Natsumi was used to type deal. It was literally a little bit more homey, and which is why it felt a bit more real for her than superficial. So I can completely understand that. But then having his own mental breakdown, losing her to the point that he's talking to a doll like it's Miho and things like that. Like, he went through so much shit. And he even got landed in prison, but he managed to escape by just transforming. When he got summoned to a fight, he was just like, oh, I'm here, I'm getting out of here. That man played it smart. As soon as they were summoned by the Hitotsuki, he bucked. He was like, this is how I get out of prison. So it was great stuff.
It's true. Wait, he should still have a bounty on him, because that was never resolved either.
That is kind of true, but that he's the only one that I think could probably pay for his own bounty.
That's true. Yeah. Also, how do the Noto have money? That's a big question.
They were given an allowance.
Cafe Dombra is well stocked. That's how.
Damn. Damn. Yes. Because they eat at that Odin place way too much for the amount of money they don't have.
Look, like I said, they were given an allowance and then they were cut off. Damn. But yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it. Ash, what did you think about Tsuyoshi Kijino?
This, like, he was like such a lovable guy at first. He was like a lovable character, and the biggest meme of DonBrothers before like the big reveal where he has that big shit-eating grin where he says, "I'll kill anyone who messes with my wife," and he's smoking it. Then like the meme was like, "Oh, I love DonBrothers because like the two normal characters is like Inu brother and Kijino," and then we get that episode. And then he just keeps spiraling and spiraling. And then once you have like the Miho reveal where she goes missing and he comes home with a doll, and it's like, oh, he's like sort of getting by with his life. And then he's like talking to a doll. He's like, oh shit, he's really fucked in the head right now. Which is that one of the deleted scenes? He goes out and buys the doll that we might see, or
and the deleted scene is when he goes back to his apartment after witnessing Tsubasa with Natsumi. And he just collapses on the ground and starts having like pretty much a mental breakdown. And they said that scene was deemed a little bit too dark to show for a kid's show. So that's why they cut it, which you see a little bit of it in the preview for that episode, which wasn't in the actual episode in itself. So that's why I'm hoping we get like a director's cut version of that episode or that deleted scene just somewhere out there. Cause I gotta see that.
Yeah. And everyone was like concerned, like worried if he'd get like the best ending or not, because everyone knew like when that reveal happens, like what's gonna happen to Miho is Tsubasa gonna get the happy ending and like live with like the girl that looks like his like old like wife, and he got the happy ending, which was nice to see. But I was fine with him. Like I'd be like I was content with him sort of having that resolve that he had with like Taro at the end, saying, "Hey, like I'm glad I got become a Don." What was his resolve again? Like I'll fight for people who need me or something like that.
True.
What did he say?
I
at the
mean,
end?
the thing is, no, he fights more because that's more
It keeps him
Tsubasa.
sane. It keeps him sane.
Yeah,
It keeps him
for
sane, yeah.
Tsuyoshi, it keeps him sane. He's doing this for his own
Yeah.
mental health because just
Mental
like
health. Yeah.
yeah, of course, when you've got mental issues, of course you want to beat up on some monsters, right? Right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that's what
it's
I
like
was
video
thinking,
games
like,
in real life. Got him.
Mhm.
Cool.
Even before
Great.
then, we do see him do the superhero thing during the day. Like he go like in the very very beginning before we knew he was bad shit cuckoo puffs. He saves plenty of passerbys from like oncoming traffic stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him do a lot of like nobleistic things. So it was like I assume that's why they did that, so that you could see the setup and then bam.
Yeah, he is
Yeah,
your
the
mild
flip
mannered,
is-
you know,
yeah.
person.
Mhm.
So yeah, Cloudy, what did you think?
It's so weird because like I absolutely love this guy. I especially love his interactions with Tsubasa. Like he's insane in like the sense of like he loves someone so much he's willing to hurt others for it. Like in the beginning, like when people assume the Noto killed people when they finished them off, he was very much willing to just let them kill like the person who harmed not his Miho. And
Yeah.
that was such like that was like such a shock for everyone because everyone was like so polarized on whether or not to like this guy after that scene. And I thought this was fantastic because it gave us like another extreme character. I didn't really care how his overall ending, like whether or not it was a happy ending, was gonna be because like I knew that there was no way Tsubasa was gonna end up with Natsumi. Like Senoni foreshadowed it several times. There was no way like it was just gonna be as peaceful as that. So when I saw that like Miho and Kijino got together, I was like not unsurprised, but it just I don't know. It just felt like it kind of went full circle. Like everyone was kind of back where it belonged, if that makes any sense. But they just learned something along the way, or at least his character anyway.
Yeah, and
So,
Knox, how did you feel when it came to Kijino's story arc?
How did I feel? I feel like I can recreate it for you. Actually, I feel like I could just see Inoue just like smoking on his couch, looking at like the Twitter comments for DonBrothers, going, "I'm so glad they like him. I'm so glad they like him." Like, I'm so. Like, I can imagine him going. I'm really glad that they like him because they're not gonna believe the shit I'm about to pull next week, and then so on and so forth. Man, where do I start? The arrest, the whole arrest setup.
That was a scene. That was a scene and a half. Like I think everybody lost their shit when it happened.
That was like
AFTRA 10 out of 10.
Please give that man an Oscar. That was crazy.
Yes, that big shit-eating grinning out on his face.
It's true.
You all right, bro?
Yeah.
We back in it.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw you take over.
No, that face, that face is one of the when I saw that face, I said, "Oh, that's why this man was hired. This is why he was cast to play this role. That face is only a face somebody can, that is acting. Oh my god, I'm talking about. I know, like I shouldn't like mix the performance and the character, but it just goes so well. It goes hand in hand. What can I give? I think with Tsuyoshi, because we already know like Tsuyoshi is going to be one of, he might not be the greatest, but he'll definitely be one of the most iconic Rangers for like the next few years. So
It'll definitely be a
My
pink you
fucking-
remember.
He's gonna be
yeah.
definitely a pink you remember. And when they're not a blueprint, but everybody's going to look at Tsuyoshi in a few years and go, damn. Like when we have our next male pink, we're gonna go, oh shit. Like they're gonna expect another Tsuyoshi, but of course this male pink is going to be radically different. But they're going to base people off of this male pink for a while. Like his I'm not bringing up any specifics. I know I'm really not. There's so many things for me to say. So of course what y'all have said has already been said. I'm trying to provide something a little bit new. Where are we? Oh, towards the end, when people kind of realized who Kijino was as a person, and they stopped actively giving a shit. Like they started treating him like Jiro, like how they treat Jiro, where he just oh, this is a person that exists. Yeah, this is a person that yeah, I mean, oh my god, like when Kijino got taken, everybody stopped.
Yeah.
And then they started fighting again, and then when Toro got taken, all
it's like, oh, this happened before already. Like we're used to this.
Yeah,
whoa,
I mean,
whoa! Time out! Toro's gone.
It's great because it's true. They even say it so many times in the show. It's like you became a Hototsuki 3 times. It's like
You think it's
everyone
funny
brings
the
it up.
fourth line?
Yeah, they all throw it in his face. Whatever.
Real quick, we got a super chat from Jam Cal for $5 saying Kijino's mindset is like a bird. Threaten its mate or nest, it gets merciless. Destroy a bird's nest completely, it loses its sanity, which is actually describes him pretty well. Especially once we got the actual confrontation fight between him and Tsubasa that was leading up to it. And the fact that this man was just out here blasting right at him, just straight up gangster. It was great. I was like, wow, these guys, for a CG hot mess of a fight, this is the best CG hot mess of a fight we have ever gotten.
That ain't the shiniest piece of shit I've ever seen. That is just you. And by then, everybody was tired of it. By then, everybody was like, "Oh, well, fuck it." We know, of course, they're gonna stop the fight mid-fight. But after he shot Sononi, and then he got all wimpy and shit again because he didn't mean to fucking hit her. But hey, bro, if somebody came in and kicked his ass that was the breaking point. That right there was where everybody was like, "Okay, fuck him." Fuck him.
Well, the thing is, you could tell everybody was fucking because that's when Tsubasa got revealed to the rest of the crew, and no one noticed it. No one noticed it in that same episode that they had both transformed until the end when Haruka was just like, "Oh yeah," because that's when we finally got the group transformation, and it's just like, y'all ain't noticed.
Yep.
Y'all ain't noticed that specific.
I love it. Technically, we didn't get even the full Don Bros group roll call until the last episode. I love it.
Worth it.
It's worth it.
When a roll call stops being normalized, that's when it becomes a lot more meaningful when it actually happens. So I'll actually give them props for doing that. So yeah, any other input when it comes to Tsuyoshi?
Oh,
I was gonna say
no, that has something to do with the whole team.
I was gonna say him transforming into a Hikotsuki was a big game changer because oh shit, it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
When that first happened,
and then it happens 3 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in the stage show.
Yep. And then by the third time, they're like, "No surprise here."
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's a day that ends in Y. Cool. Got it.
Yeah, okay.
Bet. How's this gonna go?
It's a day that ends in Y. It's crazy.
It's just it.
Oh,
it's
it
just how
day?
Good. Yep.
I feel like
another one of these.
It's just so nice to see how, because if you remember towards the beginning, everyone really respected him and took him more seriously as a person because man had a job, wife, kids, not kids, but wife, and the whole classic, like, you know, what's called working adult kind of thing.
Yeah, work to support my wife. Yeah.
And then bam, once you saw that crazier side, it all went south. Very
So the amount of PTO that man must have, like I don't know how this man has so much off time, because we just see him hanging out with the bros so much. I'm just like, how you got PTO like that, my guy? Like, I hear Japan's work culture is terrible. How are you?
Where can I get that?
Why are y'all going to rooftop like fireworks this way? What? Okay, all right, you got time like that, but you know you got a wife at home, but you'd rather be doing fire. Okay, gotcha. There's a couple moments that I'm just like, okay, all right.
Especially so police failed.
So moving on, we've got the dual persona of Jiro and Jiro. They later on combine to become Jiro. So,
oh my god.
So we get Jiro coming out of the woodworks with a very interesting backstory that mimics a lot of Taro's backstory. And the thing is, they really don't start getting too much into his proper backstory until the end of the series. So we're still like, you know, is he even properly a Don Clan member or anything like that? Because I will admit, like, back when they had his debut, since they did his backstory in such a weird, funny, like, filter on his entire like flashback versus how we saw Taro's in the first episode, I was thinking like something's off with this guy's backstory versus, you know, Taro's. And it comes down to his entire aesthetic, since he looks like he's a completely different part of another team. Like he doesn't even belong in this team in terms of the way that he looks, because he looks like the neon sign in front of a Chinese restaurant. That's his entire like style for his character look. And even then, just the way that he clashes with the team, but just starts off, you know, I'm replacing Taro, and they're like, no, you're not going to replace Taro. And then we get Taro back, but then he starts attacking the crew until like he has to get like the sense knocked back into him. And then we get introduced to his other side that we get introduced is actually his original persona until some village shenanigans happen. And that's what leads him to developing the persona that we were all used to for him to carry himself, only for us to find out that in order for him to become his better self would be uniting both sides of him. Then we also get the tease that he's a Juto, but then it's like, he's not. But then there were so many moments in which it's like, then why did you lay these foundations? Like when Murasame attacked him with the sword and he was in pain for like 3 episodes, like out of commission, it was just like, well, Murasame is only really effective against Jutos. So that's why this would make sense. And then we see him folding the origami and it's just like, he's a Juto, only to find out, oh, he's not a Juto? What was all that for?
Especially
like, really,
he's holding the penguin as well.
Yeah, it's just like there's several inconsistencies, and I don't know if there was just things that got changed up at the end in terms of how they were planning his story arc versus what we ended up getting, because we'll get into it a little later, but there's a lot of different plot threads that were introduced and then dropped at several points in times during the show, which is definitely one of its weaker aspects. And I would say that those little plot points for Jiro do seem to be a little bit of a weaker aspect going forward. And I would say that out of the crew in general, like the entire cast, he's probably one of the weaker characters for me, just because a lot of his stuff seems to have happened last minute. Like there were some setups for him that just didn't get paid off, and then he was thrown out of commission for several episodes. And I just don't know if there was like a greater plan for him, and it just became a byline by the end of things, because even when he united with his other self, I was like, okay, is he gonna get his own upgrade? Nah, he just freely transforms between the two forms. Oh, you could put a cape on him. Nah, he just freely transformed between the, okay, all right, cool, I gotcha. And he slicks his hair back. Nice.
Felt like there would have been a great,
he's got a cummerbund.
see a full form.
Yeah. So yeah, I do feel that Jiro is one of the weaker characters when it comes to that, especially like once we get to the ending and he's just like regular guy Jiro. It's like he's the post nut clarity Jiro. He's just there, just like chill.
From someone from the Discord put it the best. He's that SpongeBob with no holes that's completely smooth. He's just like, ha, yeah, yeah.
I'm normal.
Yep.
You can thank Shade for that.
That's exactly how he comes off with a lot of that. But I will say, and of course, saw this one on here. I wouldn't say bootleg Daiji. I would say a Daiji better than Daiji because the whole Daiji Kagero arc still pissed me off when it came to Revice, and it overstayed its welcome. But luckily, this one they were like, "Cool, let's just wrap it up quickly. Whatever, we're not gonna kill this off for too long." So, Nox, what did you think when it came to Jiro?
I could have sworn. I thought Murasame was affect. I thought Murasame was like the only thing that could affect the judo. I didn't know I didn't know it was like weaker. Cause I thought like when he got injured by Murasame like used a finisher on him and it hit him wrong. Or
they hit each other for sure.
Yeah, they hit each other, so they kind of like met each other on that point. But the thing is, since we know that Murasame is the only thing that can beat and do damage to a Juto, that's why when he started going through those after effects of laying in bed after that strike, that's what started having a lot of people, including myself, think this guy's got to be a Juto, or at least like Jiro or half of Jiro is a Juto, like his feral side is a Juto and his normal side is not, or vice versa. One of these has to be Juto related, and that's why he's reeling from the pain. That type of thing that's what started a lot of that speculation, was that impact from Murasame.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that because I thought it was the other way around where Murasame was the only thing that could injure Judo. And not that it was the only thing that Murasame could beat, because that would create a bigger plot point like of the mother, the other consciousness within the sword, telling Murasame to start like trying to pick fights with Dama Motaro and saying that man is an enemy. I shit you not. That man is an enemy of the Noto. You got to deal with him. You have to take care of this now. No, yeah. I actually, what did I think? Okay, so when I go back and I think of like Don Dragoku, like Don Dragoku on the first end, I get where I do understand where like people were coming from, because he doesn't look like the rest of the team at all. Like the only thing like they share are like, of course, visors. There was this not discussion, but I love the way they framed it in story that he was new Taro, because the last Taro was confirmed dead. So the DonBrothers powers just activated because the world was like, we need a new Taro. So they sent Jiro out in that he can't use Kibi points because
he's
not a companion.
Yep.
He's not a companion. He's another. I thought it was because that was his arc. His arc was going to be him becoming another companion. I didn't know they were going to stick with the replacement. I didn't know he was going to be still the replacement. I feel like that was a very good take as well. As far as him and himself, I like Jiro a lot. I like the duality. I like how like ruthlessly aggressive his other side is. His like base side is. I love the axe. Of course, I love the spear. I love the axe. I'm not giving you anything that I'm not giving you anything.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Now you're giving us plenty.
I do. I find that that plot line, the whole Juto Force plot line, is beyond me, man. Like him being brought up and everything he's known and all of his friends are like fucking imaginary, and having his fucking do you know how crazy it is to be dating a girl and then like just have her disappear from your consciousness one day.
True.
That's
why he called
shit.
her like his crusty sock in the review. That like it all just got revealed. I'm just like, man, this man was having a field day with something, but it wasn't her. So
it was not her, man. It wasn't her. That shit. I said that shit would have broke me for real because there are things that you do. We have friends. You can imagine me up some friends all you want to. You into the relationship, like, and then they went the extra mile at the beginning to portray this girl with a family and parents.
Yep, like
the whole village in the episode that he debuted, he's giving his resignation notice at the place that he worked at. We see a guy that we never see ever again, along with other employees there, which makes me think: is this another plot line that they decided to change, like? Halfway through as well, because I'm just like, you cooked up this entire village, dialogue lines that these folks are having as soon as he gets on the bus and leaves. You didn't have to show us that. Rumi trying to debate whether or not she's going to go visit him in the city and talking to her mom about it. You didn't have to show us that if they were imaginary. Like, what?
Maybe they did that just to cement it in your mind, Zio. Like, they did that just for the bait.
Yeah.
If they were real, if they weren't.
No, I'm just saying Terasaki, like his dad, like must have gone out of his way to just out here just scripting the entire time. All right. And just playing with his dollhouse of that village.
Mm.
No. And I don't know how that in hindsight, learning all of this and rehashing this stuff, I don't know how that didn't break him further. There should be 2 more Jiros.
There's another Jiro that's just Kijino.
Yeah, he should have had a mental breakdown Tsuyoshi style. He should have, honestly, with that kind of stuff. That's a big revelation.
Mm-hmm.
That's life-changing stuff. His entire life was technically a lie.
A lie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
So,
like
it's crazy. But that's why it's like in some of the aspects of it, it's just like he just accepts it. And that's why I found it a little bit weak when his other side just comes out going like, well, now that you know the truth, I guess it's time. Yeah, we're going to fuse. And then it just happens. And I'm just like, that's it? That's really it. All this lead up for that. That got like no traction from me. That was like a spit, like down to the ground.
It's just that simple.
Like, so, I mean, that's why I thought that was a little bit of a weak arc in terms of that. Like, he's a funny character, and the way that he, like, literally never fully interacts with the team properly, because most of the time he just shows up. Everybody else is going about their things. He's not regularly hanging out in the cafe like the other characters are. He's literally his own guy for the most part. So it happens,
and they
but yeah.
don't like him.
Yeah, I felt so bad when like Cyber would give him shit, like saying, "Yeah, we don't need you," or just leave.
Get out.
You're not wanted here.
Literally living the proper sixth life, but not being the sixth ranger, because I still think that's Tsubasa. But Ash, what did you think when it came to Jiro?
Interesting character, because you were wondering where they were going with him like the entire time. Like I mentioned earlier, you do feel bad for him when he would get treated like shit by the other rangers. But he did have some cool moments, like with Feral Jiro, where you got to see Kiba Ranger and Dragon Ranger face off. That was the cool moment. That was a really cool fight scene. And then after that, we never got it ever again. Well, apart from him turning into Ryuso Gold. But like I feel like Jiro was a cool character. Like, not like the best sixth ranger, but he was interesting in hindsight. They were week to week wondering where they'd go with him. But I feel like they could have like fleshed him out maybe a little bit more. Like his end game could have been fleshed out a little bit better. Like him actually having a proper mental breakdown. But he was okay. Like I enjoyed like the actor's presence with like how cheerful he would be, like in that episode where he shows up where they're sort of trying to grift the grifter, and he just randomly shows up and gets involved. I think that was like a lot of fun. But Jiro was okay. Like he not the best, not the worst, but he was okay.
And real quick, I gotta like break some news from someone here, because they were like, I have a question. And why is it that the policeman back from the Juto was not back from the Juto world when Sonoe released all the copies in the forest? It's because he's dead. Because Tsubasa killed that man.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but when you kill somebody with Murasame, they dead.
He's
dead.
actually dead. Like,
Yes, Detective
Gone.
Juto is gone.
Tsubasa
If he's
is a
got a
murderer.
family, you're dead.
He's
Like,
actually a
Mhm.
murderer.
yeah, he's dead to them. He's not coming home from that trip. He went
Daddy
to the
never got
village.
the milk
Never,
back.
he's gone. He's gone. And that's probably why Tsubasa's got that large bounty on his head, because they found out. They were like, yep, this the man that killed him. That's
He
it.
went out to get cigarettes, and then he got killed by Murasame.
So, like, the confirmed dead Jutos that we are aware of is Detective Juto, the chick with the hat, the she was like the guide on the bus, and then of course Miho confirmed dead by the writers. They confirmed that she did indeed die in that one episode.
She did die. Okay, because some people thought she like survived.
Yeah,
so
I thought she was still that she survived as well, but the writers confirmed afterwards that she did die at the end.
People's speculation was because like the moon reflecting into the water where she died opened up another portal.
Yep. Yeah, she
think
just
her
went
body
back to the
did go
portal.
back.
So yeah, her
she
body
did
went
die.
back, but she dead.
Yeah.
She didn't make it home.
No.
So yeah, Cloudy, what did you think when it came to Jiro?
First off, Tora Bolt had the best fight scenes. Like, the most crazy.
Oh, they were raw as fuck.
absolutely.
Raw.
He was great.
Bolt, I love the way he fought. Every time Tora Bolt came on, I was like, yes, this is the man I want to see fight today. But I would have to say Momotani Jiro, not my favorite character for sure, but definitely a good character. And I feel like someone on the Discord is definitely going to kick my ass for this later. But Zio knows. But I was going to say, I think like overall I liked where his story was going. I definitely think they rewrote some stuff, because in one of the earlier episodes of Jiro, like right after he became I think it was right after they saved Momotaro and he started taking the glasses, he was like saying the entire Peach Boy story for whatever reason while he was doing this. And I was like terrified. I was enjoying this because I was like, what the heck is this dude? And I kind of felt let down because I thought they were hyping him up to a much bigger role in the Dawn Clan. Because I was thinking maybe he's the actual successor of the Dawn Clan. Maybe there's going to be some war between him and Taro at some point. That's what I was thinking at that point.
Because he was based on Sun Wukong. He was based on Sun Wukong, so I thought there'd be some kind of rivalry going on, like between the two different stories.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But they never went anywhere with that, and I was very disappointed because I was like, "Where?" I mean, don't get me wrong, Tora Bolt's debut was great, but I thought they really missed the bullet by not going more into a rivalry between these two, or at least at some point hashing this out, because I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't know if that was part of the storyline that they dropped for what eventually became his endgame, but that beginning with him was what cemented the interest in this character for me. And I did like seeing all of his execution. I didn't think his ending was bad by any means, but definitely not as great as I would have hoped for.
No, and that was definitely an aspect that I think a lot of us were looking forward to, was the fact that once we got introduced to the other side of Jiro, he would consistently be talking about wanting to defeat Taro and have this face-off, and we just never got it because Taro always brushed him aside every time. And then when Taro was having his meaningful fights, he would try and slide on in only to not get it in. So, yeah. That was the issues on there, but I really would have hoped that something like that would have ended up playing into his old character arc, because I mean, when Sonoe beat Taro and we got like the role reversal and it was him picking up Taro's body to like recuperate it and stuff like that, I was like, "Ooh, where's this gonna lead?" Nowhere. Nowhere.
And those two episodes were great because it was just a flip of the exact same episode, because you had the first time where Sononi was dragged off by Murasame in the exact same way. And then the second time with Taro being dragged off by Murasame, I was like, ooh, the first time we got a lot of lore to this. What is going to happen the second time? Not much.
Yeah.
He fed him dinner.
So next up, we have technically the main character of the series, the audience insert, Haruka, who is definitely such a well-done character. Definitely like changed the game when everybody jumped in episode 1 and we were just like oh, we're getting everything from her lens. Now, of course, that was a little bit of a cop out because not every episode was completely focused on her, but just a great dynamic in terms of how in the beginning she's kind of like up her own ass in terms of like ego because she's a young prodigy,
Yes.
like being able to get into manga and all that stuff at such a young age. Everyone's all about her, and then having her entire life get flipped upside down, and then entering a little bit of a slump, not really vibing with Taro to begin with. But then as you start seeing some of the character dynamic build up, you start seeing that she's actually developing somewhat of a feeling for him. Even like in some of the scenes where they showed her with her boyfriend, RIP beta boyfriend. I think you got ate by your mom, but yeah, just starting to see Taro as opposed to him and those type of things, and then getting those like seeds from future Haruka that there might have been something there as well. They just became like a lost story that maybe we'll get sometime in the future. But Haruka as a character, as just even the actress portraying her, like 10 out of 10 portrayal
Yes.
in there, and just managed to like steal a scene, and just the gags in the beginning getting tossed aside by Taro. That was like the meme every week, was her getting tossed aside by Taro. But then eventually like having that full on acceptance to the point that you could see it towards the end of her like feeling that, okay, Taro's accepted me, so now I need to like care for this guy. And you really start, she's the one that really cements that the team is really feeling Taro by the end of the series versus in the beginning where they all kind of don't want shit to do with him. But by the end, she's really like at the forefront of it. And you kind of get it in that Shinichi focused episode where that guy's trying to like con them in that one house, and they're all lying, being his family, and Taro can't like understand what's going on, and she feels bad for lying to him about it. Like, it's just great character dynamic in general, and she's probably like at the top of my favorite characters for this entire show. If I think most people are in agreement in terms of just like how well that character was done and how Haruka was done. So Knox, the floor is yours.
Oh man, don't give me the floor. I'm gonna try and make this one quick because I talked for a really long time.
No, be longer. In fact,
we've done 3-hour streams.
I want more.
Where to even, man, Haruka was my favorite character for like the longest time. When like that youth of being young and like all about your shit, and oh, I have this cool little niche thing that people love me for, so of course I'm the shit and people fucking love me. Like that shit is fire. That shit is great. Like because when you are a certain age and you have those kinds of opportunities, you know, your head might get a little bit big. You know what I'm saying? You got a little popularity. You walk into school, people want to live, breathe, and die for you. That shit is hard. I respect it immensely. Wait, can we talk about her in First Love Hero? Because Crazy Orb.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'll get there too. The her First Love Hero, all of it. Her bread and butter is her reactions to the world around her. Facial expressions, commentary, that kind of shit. Her shit is the shit that you feel like most like you resonate with. Because the reactions and she provides, as much as like unrealistic as all of these characters are, they're still human. And her humanity is in her humanity, if that makes any sense. The way like the audience surrogate, a lot of the shit that she would say would be shit that we asked, or a lot of the way she would react to shit would be because of like the way humans who have never seen this world really for what it is. Not our world, but their world. They haven't seen their world for what it is, and the amount of bizarre shit that happens in that world is very it's still very new to her. She doesn't have an untethered like tie to the world like her peers who are older. So of course, shit that's mundane to somebody else, would be fucking like, I'm pretty sure like cookies were crazy to everybody when we first ate them, and our parents were like, "Oh yeah, I know you like cookies," like because cookies are our normal. So of course, running over a motherfucker in a purple suit is normal. It's normal now. So she was
Absolutely.
she didn't have to react to it. Seeing motherfuckers run or seeing a motherfucker transform, like all of that shit is just the way we would react to it if we were in her position. I really love that humanity of it, of her. That's her bread and butter.
All right, Ash, I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to take off this shirt because this sugar is starting to hit me, and I'm sweating profusely. So I'm going to go take off this shirt real fast. But yes, floor is yours.
Theo dealing with the consequences of his actions.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So first up, I want to bring up raise her glasses up to the first fan subbers that did the first episode that translated Poggers in that one episode. But Haruka was like a lot of fun. Like we were like that actress's like interactions and her facial expressions were really great, and I had a lot of fun seeing her on screen. Not only that, like that episode when we first see Tsubasa interacting with the team and she gets kidnapped and she's like, "Oh, this would be great manga material." And you're like, she is fucked up in the head. And then it runs in the family. Runs in the family, which is great. Like even more fucked up, but great to see. But I think she was great and she had like the most growth. I do wonder if we'll get an answer about future Haruka and see what happened in her timeline, because I'm guessing what happened in that timeline is I'm guessing the ending of DonBrothers, where Momotaro left and she sort of took up the mantle of sort of leading the team for that 1 year time skip where he went like sort of missing. But I feel like Haruka was great. Like you see her grow throughout the series. Like she was like, I'm not going to say you love to hate her, but she has these moments where you love to hate her, but she was like a great character, in my opinion, like a really great yellow. And I'm hoping we'll see her again later down the line. I think she did a really good job and a really solid character with seeing how she gets, like, even the end where she talks to Momo at the end, where people still call her plagiarist. And she's like, I'm fine with that nickname now. I think it's like endearing. So she lives with that nickname. But yeah, I think Haruka's great.
All right, Cloudy.
Haruka is like one of probably the funniest yellows ever in like Sentai, especially
100%.
like you've got like several episodes where her reactions are stealing the show. Like we got that monster that slow-mos everyone, and she's just reacting to a slow-mo in
yes
explosion, just like and I'm just that's hilarious. But I think you can't really talk about Haruka without talking about Sonaza and, relatively speaking, their relationship together.
Yes.
Sona's whole thing was that he wanted to freaking learn how to feel. I don't want to talk too much about Sonaza, but you know what I mean. And her being a mangaka, and the whole point of manga is to get your audience to feel like joy, sadness, happiness while reading your material. I felt like that was honestly the perfect foil for this kind of character, because by the end of it, you really believe like he got hooked on these mangas, that he wanted to be her editor just to see the best she could do, because he at one point in the middle of the show was like, this is not good enough, get back to writing, when he trapped her and technically herself in a building to have a manga off. That was
gave her Stockholm syndrome right after that too.
Exactly.
Like she went back to see him. And he wasn't there. He wasn't there.
It was beautiful. And not only that, but we have such a vain yellow. Like, this is someone a kind of character you don't really see in a lot of Sentais, because, kid-friendly show. But she is so self-centered and vain in some parts of the show. Like, anytime someone talks about her or compliments her in any way, she's like, oh my God. It's like, you could tell, like, it made her day. Like, anytime she could be the star, you could tell, like, yep, this is where I belong. I'm on stage. Everyone's looking at me. This is beautiful. So
Mm.
I got to give it to her. She made the entire show very entertaining. Like, I've never seen, well, not never, but it's really hard to make a straight man also one of the funniest characters in the show, but they did it really well.
And I to add to that, like her a lot of her character plots early in the season were like equating everything going on to her in real life as like this could be material for my next manga. Like when she gets kidnapped. Oh, this is gonna be a great thing to write about. Only for us at the end to technically have like, oh, she's just gonna write about everything that just happened to her. So obviously, like it all worked. It all ended up like feeding it in at the end. And to add on to what your claims about Sonoza was like the weakest character for me in the beginning. I did not like that man in the beginning because it was too fake, too and like just trying to force himself to laugh and things like that. And when he first showed, I just did not like him. And then he ended up becoming just a great character, mostly because of Haruka. Like,
perfect foil.
Each of these Notos finding their corresponding Donbro and then just like synergizing with them brought out the humanity in them. And you see that more so with Sonoza out of any of the other three, because like he was the weirdest one of them all, but by the end he became the most normal. Like you see that man like feeding her notes like by the tablet, just out there with the glasses. It's just like, yeah, you should probably change that. It's like, bro, you out here talking normal. What the fuck is this? Okay.
Or that scene where they have that meeting. I think it's when Taro dies, and she says, I think she asks, "How's your manga going along?" And she goes, "It's doing better." And she says, like, "I know you can do better," or something like that, or keep improving. So even though there were enemies at some point, he still gave you that inspiration when they were at like against each other before they formed the alliance.
And
so
it's beautiful. Oh, sorry, I didn't want to.
No, I was done. Yeah.
Oh no, I just meant like, and like you can tell, like that one episode. I don't want to say too much because it's the episode where all three of them basically realized what happened to them and what the effects of hanging with the Don Bros did to them. Like you just see him going through the royal gambit of emotions, and compared to like the fake emotions he was trying to do in the beginning, to that, like that was like it was like a night and day comparison. And I was like, you could really tell this guy was affected by this, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wound up loving Sonoza by the end.
Yeah, so like I said, Sonoza was a surprise character for me just because his relationship with Haruka actually worked. Like it didn't feel like odd at all. Even though at the beginning I was like, this might be odd, but then it ended up being fine. I just really wonder what happened in that future timeline because of course Shinichi has some choice words for him. So I'm just like, spill the tea. I gotta know. I got to know what happened in this future timeline.
They had to have had like a fight with Haruka in the middle of like a love triangle between the two of them or something.
Or a creative difference.
I need it.
I want to see that timeline. I want to see more of that timeline.
Same, yeah.
So of course, moving on, we've got the main man himself, Taro. And boy, how this man became my favorite Red out of this entire fucking franchise. Just like really in the beginning, it's just like, okay, this guy is very full of himself. But of course, like you would expect that, like he definitely knows where he came from and all that aspect. And the thing is, it's like he plays it up very well to the point that you could see of just how smart Taro is. But then he's smart and truthful to a fault. And even he admits his own issues because it's like in the very beginning, it's just like, you start getting those aspects of he really like he can't shut it off. He can't shut off the fact that he has to tell the truth, even if it ends up turning several people into Hitotsuki. A lot of the early Hitotsukis were brought upon because of Taro just not being able to shut off like being honest. And you know, it's true what they say. Sometimes the truth does hurt. And Taro learned that the hard way. But then he tried using his own manner of speaking and carrying himself to make amends for the actions that he had already done. But at the same time, also still properly shaping and forming those bonds with his companions to create the entire relationship of the DonBrothers as a whole. He had a lot of amazing moments as just a character, and by the end of things, like his interactions with Jin in the beginning, when we did finally see him and Jin interact, I was like, something's weird here. Like they're not looking at each other eye to eye. It's very odd, but he knows everything that Jin likes and all that stuff, and they just can't bring to look at each other in the eye. But then at the end, they are. But then you find out, oh, it's because he doesn't even remember his own father's face. And it's just like, oh, the emotions, they just get you.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's done so well. And the thing is like, this is one of the few shows that we get a little bit more insight when it comes to like the actors. And the actor that plays Taro actually sat down, had dinner with Inoue, and was just like, look, this is how I really wish like my character would come off in certain scenes, and how some of these interactions would end up going, and how this would all end up playing out. So he felt that he knew his character enough to the point of like, this is how I want them to proceed with this storyline, and how I want this to just end up like being fleshed out. And I think it ended up working wonders for his characters, because Taro's like virtually unmatched, and the only times that you see him like run into some issues per se has been during the crossovers. Like when, if you saw the Hurricaneer with the DonBros, when he runs into Hurricane Red and like they have that little confrontation, and Hurricane Red's like the only one that can catch his moves, and it's just like, okay, I see you, all right. It's just because you got a little bit more experience, and it's just like, it's like one of those great experiences on there. But yeah, Taro definitely ended up just being a great character overall, and just the night and day difference between him being in suit versus him not in suit, but then having those moments where you see those like in suit performances out of suit, like when Sononi had that dual request via like the projection, and you see his like super shit-eating grin, like, yes, all right, we're about to fight. Like, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So Taro definitely like just ended up being a very, very great red. I see John asking what was my favorite red before. Shinken Red. Shiba Takaru definitely was my favorite red before Taro. So
great character.
So yeah, Cloudy, what'd you feel about Taro?
I wasn't ready for this emotionally or physically,
Yeah.
but
just randomly go to somebody. I never start where I left off last time.
All right, Taro, absolutely fantastic lead, great character development. My thing is, oh god, you really threw me off because I was actually thinking this out. But the scene with like Jin and him with like the rice ball at the end when he fades and like you see Jin eating the rice ball at the end, like if you know how like people like typically in Japan, they will never touch each other's food like under any circumstance unless you're actually related to someone. Like that's like gotta show like even though Taro was his adopted son, like their bond was legit. You know what I mean? Like for like, but more than anything, I felt like as like the leader of the team, he definitely did his job very well. He like in the beginning when he fought them randomly, like, and then he never explained that it was just to train them so that they could actually fight the Hitotsuki. I thought that was hilarious. Like that was some good scenes. I enjoyed the comedic humor along that. But I don't know. It's just like I feel like Joe the Condor. I mean, sorry, Taro was just like one of those characters. You kind of had to. Yeah. Sorry, I had to say it.
You said Joe the Condor.
So, for any of you who don't get that reference, you'll
go watch Gotcha Man.
Go watch Gotcha Man. It's great.
Gotcha
But
Man.
I think, like honestly, watching his growth from like that perfect, because I find that there is a thin line, like with people who can like write that perfect kind of character with like an actual personality. You know what I mean? Because Taro was perfect, like all of his things were perfect, but that doesn't mean like everything around him was that way, because he chased off a lot of people because of how he did things, about his perfections, how he would critique people very honestly, because the man could not lie. He would literally die if he told a lie.
Yes.
Several times. And they were very happy at the end about that during his birthday. But it was like such a great, I think, character trait for them to give him, because it made his perfection both a flaw, because he wound up creating the enemy half the time in the show, and you're seeing them get over that, and like seeing how he was like actually as a person, because he technically didn't really change much, as like a human being or as an entity. He did evolve for sure, but like his personality didn't really like super change that much throughout the entirety of the show, I wouldn't say. But I feel like the way that you approached him, or the way that like it was shown how he was trying to do things, was like growth in a sense, because you could see like everything he had like a double meaning to it, whether you knew it or not. Sorry if I went too long. I really
it's good stuff. And I mean, a side note, one of my favorite things about Taro was he was always about trying to get the job done, even if it meant like, bro, I'm on payroll. I gotta go deliver these packages, even though we got like a set like tool.
Yeah.
Greatest fucking aspect of his character is he still cared about making sure that the deliveries were done on time. Fuck all the other things.
Yo, listen, man,
I
I
made
9 to 5. Loved it.
Yeah, exactly. Work ethic was impeccable, and I feel that. Nox, you're up next.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, look.
You know how it feels. You know how it feels, man.
Nah, because I've been actually like paying attention, and I was like, okay, so maybe not me. No, okay, no, not to say maybe not me, like I'm getting called on my teacher. That's insane. I mean, so I'm gonna love with you here. Hardest Red Ranger to ever really do it. Sorry. That's just the way I feel about it. I have the sunglass rainbow sword. I can say that. That finisher goes hard. Okay. Starting from, I know you gave a lot into his story, so I'm gonna try and stay on the story side, because I think I'm gonna stay on the story side. I want to say Taro's character arc he didn't really change all that much, because a lot of it was shit that he just couldn't do. But I definitely think he learned to soften up his approach, because he had a lot of other people in his life that he really cared about. And he didn't really like seeing them disgruntled. He didn't really like seeing them sad. Or if he was just kind of like doing his thing. Because there's a lot of shit that Taro's not around for. And when he's not around for it, fuck it. Oh shit, monster, fuck it. Oh shit, this completely separate thing is happening on the other end. Or the secret meetings with Miho, when they would pass each other up, and he's like, I know who you are. And then when he's telling like Kijino later, like it's just yesterday's news, bro, she's a judo. You're lying. Do I ever? I
would be dead on the floor as we speak. It's great.
Motherfucker. I am so serious. Who would me lying to okay, all right. No, so ultimately to like the payoff because we're gonna say the payoff is when him losing his memories and just realizing how important his part in the DonBrothers was. I think that's just like icing on the cake. I think that the real payoff was his birthday. Well, not his birthday, but was the party and him dying at the party, because he could not lie. He cared about the people that he had brought into his life, and he couldn't lie about it. That shit is beautiful. That shit is beautiful.
It was great. And the cheering of like when Kijino was just like, he's dead, let's go.
And any brother not getting the memo and freaking out.
Yep. Because no one gave him the memo. No one gave him the memo.
He hasn't been around for
He
it.
dies when he lies. It's like, what do you mean he dies? He's dead.
Dead.
So yeah. Ash, before I get to you, there's a quick question that was tossed in here. Anyone think Taro should have been an artificial life form like a Juto made to fulfill the Don Clan's wishes, which doing so would free him and thus the memory loss? It would explain his strength and honesty. Honestly, no, I really think that it's a fault on there, and they kind of alluded to that early with Sonoe taking advantage of Taro's honesty and killing him the first time.
Yeah.
Because he said that was the fault of the Don Clan. The Don Clan had problems being able to like tell lies, which is why he knew if he just asked him what his weakness was, he'd be able to just kill him. But even though that left a bad taste in his mouth. But yeah, it's like, no, I think that's what made the Don Clan in general so susceptible to getting bodied by the Noto later on, is just because they probably all had this issue that Jiro doesn't seem to have. But I think that, another thing that probably was scrapped in the chopping floor or whatever, but whatever.
God.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ash, your thoughts on Taro?
Taro was great. Like, I loved his bombastic energy, like in suit, out of suit. Lots of fun to see him on screen and interacting with all the cast. Bringing back to with Jiro being like possibly a member of the Don Clan when they do touch upon him, where Jiro's like, "Oh wait, we're both from the Don Clan. We can be brothers," and he like looks at him and he's like, "Yeah, we could be," and just leaves it at that. But yeah, Taro was great. Like, he had some really cool fight scenes and stuff like that. Like what everyone else has been saying, like not Jiro, Taro is like great.
He is. He's fun. Like, definitely a fun interaction when it comes to all that. So moving on, we'll quickly go on all three of the main Noto. So Sonoe, Sonoza, and Sonone, even though we've lightly touched on Sonone, I wish, Sonoza and Sonoe. You got it. But yeah, when it comes to the Noto, and I said this a lot in my later reviews of this series, it was a subtle difference that if you were paying attention, you would notice that as each episode progressed, these characters were becoming more and more human, just in general. Yeah, in the way that they were interacting. And it wasn't called out. It definitely was not called out until the episode where, like, Sonone confessed her feelings and stuff like that, and she was, like, on death's door. That's when they all admitted that they finally, like, realized that they, too, have essentially become human in their emotions, and they just don't know when it's happened. Even though, like, back beforehand, it's just like you could already see it in the way that they're talking, in the way that they're carrying themselves, in just all of their general interactions. They did a great job as just actors of like subtly changing everything from like week to week, each episode to carry from the robotic sense that they kind of carry themselves, or over exaggerated movements, to be a little bit more subtle, to be a little bit more, human in that shape. And they all just carried very great character arcs as a whole. These guys were never villains to really begin with. And I had to explain that so many times with a lot of the early reviews, is that the Noto, those three, the trio, were not villains because they explained themselves that they need humans. They can't really survive without humans in general, and they just have a different way of handling Hitotsuki, which is just human emotion taken to the extremity. That's their entire thing. But otherwise, they're helping humans as well. They're like still supplementing their lives because they know that they need humans to survive as a society. So they were never really bad guys. So that's the entire thing. But people were like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. It's like, we're not watching the same show then. The Notos were never meant to be the bad guy. And that's the entire thing. So overall, like, their character plot points were carried very well. Sonone, from like trying to understand love, but then also like not realizing that every guy that she was like just running into was in lust and not in love with her, and trying to properly gauge what that emotion was. Sonoza trying to find actual emotion when it came to things, and then finding it within the manga that he was reading with from Haruka, and then Sonoe going from, you know, trying to understand art, but then he ended up getting so much more with just his interactions with Taro. And since they had a constant back and forth of not knowing who each other were in and outside of the battlefield in the beginning, they gave me a lot of Kamen Rider 5's vibes with Kiba, Yuji, and Takumi in the beginning. And then that ended up blossoming into a whole different like relationship that definitely was more complementary to each other by the end of things. Was just a night and day difference, to the point that having them actually join the DonBros, you know, in the final roll call felt organic. It felt warranted. It felt earned. These were characters that definitely deserve to be a mainstay with these characters, but I know in future crossovers, they're just going to just bring in the regular DonBros and forget that the Noto were even part of it. But I'm still like, nah, you can't have the bros without the Notos by this point in time, because those who watched it to the end, it's got to be a thing. So yeah, Ash, I'll start with you.
We've touched on Sonoza and Sononi. Sonoe and his bond with Taro was really great as you see him grow throughout the episode. Like, is it the episode where Taro gets killed by him is when they have the discussion about the moon, or is that a different episode?
That's a different episode, I believe.
Yeah.
That's a different one? Yeah.
It's before. It's like right before.
Yeah, yeah. And then you sort of see the guilt that he has, how he defeated Taro, like he didn't want to win like that. And I was thinking that DonBrothers would end with like one final duel between Taro and Sonoe, but we never got that. And Taro didn't even want to have that duel in the end when he was losing his memories. But also, like you said, they weren't the villains, because when you see the Juto arrive, you sort of see the pecking order of where they are in the food chain, with like them actually, like Sonoe actually feeling fear about the Juto coming in, and the Juto were built up to meant to be this really big deal, like that even shook them to their core. But like a lot of people have said, like the Noto aren't really the villains. They're just sort of doing sort of like what the DonBrothers do, but in their own way, by killing people or sort of sending them to that dimension. And that's how they handle it. But I feel like these characters had like great development and growth throughout the series with how they moved forward in the show and in the end game. And I'm hoping we see him again. Like you said, we'll probably see the DonBrothers, but I think, is it Sonoe who shows up in the movie, because you see a glimpse of him in the trailer?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I'm hoping like either they get their own Toei Club specials or something like or something. But I'm hoping that these guys show up again later down the line.
Yeah, I completely agree that they should get their side specials. Everybody needs a special. Everybody needs a special.
Everyone needs a special.
Everyone, especially someone that we haven't touched on yet.
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. We're about to finish all of the characters. I know, right? There's no other.
We haven't touched on Minoru, but you know.
Oh, okay.
Nox, what did you think when it came to the Noto Trio?
Oh, the Noto Trio. Well,
yes.
I've actually been. I'm less partial to Sonoe than most people. I feel like he was never, and again, everybody attached themselves to their own DonBrother. But when Tsubasa started playing closer to like at the turn of 20, like at around 25, 26, where everybody started leaning closer into their DonBrothers, and it got more interesting with Haruka in the manga, and so Sononi trying to figure out really like accurately place her feelings. I feel like they skyrocketed a little bit more, and they stood out a little bit more, because Sonoe has been going back and forth with Taro for a while. And I guess I wouldn't say it skyrocketed. I think I reached his level, because, like, as I'm saying this, it's reminding me of the development. It's reminding me of the development that Sonoe had early. He just got his first, and then there was a break to do all the Jiro stuff, and then they got theirs as it was coming along. So Um, they did feel like extra Rangers. I didn't regard them as I love how we like have a lot of the same mindset when it comes to some of this shit because I regarded them as extra Rangers too when we first got introduced to it. So I was they didn't really feel like a threat. Like it got to the point though, a little bit towards the end when they were like fighting. They were fighting and shit started to feel like playtime because they had gotten attached. And I love that. I love that about like Inoue on his part because when that happened, okay, so we're gonna start the Noto's Choice arc. We're gonna see. Okay, so what's your deal? Are you becoming DonBrothers? Because you can't bring your ass back here. We will murderalize you. You're dead. Dead as hell. What shoes are you wearing? Dead as a motherfucker. Just dead. So for them to come and join the team officially and have Tsubasa be opposed because and like wanting like Sononi to keep as far away from him as possible, and for like Haruka and Sonoza to be this money-minded impact team. Also, my bad, while we're talking about Sonoza, my favorite part was when Sonoza told Haruka why he encased Murasame in Haruka's manga, and it was to learn about feelings the same way he did. A1.
Beautiful.
Brilliant. Beautiful.
What seemed like a random move got purpose. Yeah.
And that's just an OA writing right there.
Yep.
It's perfect.
My bad. That's all I have to say on it, really. I love them all. Sonoza, Sononi, and Sonoi in that order, but I do love them all. It's just some stories were stronger than others, in my opinion.
All right. And Cloudy.
Damn. God, I wasn't expecting this.
What do you mean? You were the last one.
So
how can you not expect being the last? Oh my God.
Sorry. Throughout this entire time, I was preparing my speech on the purple member of the Don clan. You know, the one who always showed up wearing purple randomly, Minoru. But
the Hiromi of this season? What?
What? But unfortunately, I guess I have to talk. So you guys basically hit the nail on the head with how these characters were like great and their relationships with, you know, their corresponding Don clan member. But I guess to speak to like why I like them each, I'll just talk about the episode that made me like connect with their bond the most, or at least I thought was great. Obviously, for Sonoza, the beginning of that was like when he kidnapped Haruka to force her to write manga. I feel like that was the beginning of what led to overall probably a very good like and satisfying story arc for him, even though I feel like obviously that probably wasn't planned from the very beginning, but they really did like execute that very well, and a lot better than I was expecting. Sononi and Tsubasa's date episode when Tsubasa became blind, I thought was probably one of the best episodes of Toku I've ever seen in my life, as you had drama, a lot of action and character development, and this was such a serious threat of like Murasame going after these two. Like he would not let them go. It was relentless. Like Sononi was beaten and battered and eventually died by the end of it. Like that was insane to me at the time, because that's some crazy stuff.
I lost a whole persona over it.
Yeah. And obviously Carfu, great comedy. And that was the other thing. You had half of that episode was great comedy balancing out this serious drama going on, which just encompasses what DonBros is, in my opinion. That was just an S tier episode. That was just a magnificent episode, and I just thought that really did encompass like how the Noto and the DonBros were getting, you know, familiar with each other. It also helps that, you know, at the end we also saw how Tsubasa's half reacted to that, because he saw Sononi dead. He could have left her dead. He spent all his points bringing her back. Like that was insane to me. Obviously Sonoi and Taro's conversation on the moon, they also have like a song together. It's really good. Their whole fighting dynamic of just like mutual respect for each other, because these two were never antagonistic to each other from the beginning. Obviously they wanted to defeat each other, but other than like Sonoi's like first time when he like even then like when he tricked Taro into like not tricked but asked Taro what his weakness was just to defeat him, he still had such a great respect for Taro.
Yeah.
He came back to the Don clan, was like, "You want your boy Taro back? I'm gonna help you do it." And they're like, "Aren't you the one who killed him?" "I know, and I regret it heavily." And
Yeah, I
just
want to
thought
fight him again.
exactly. And he's like, "I want to fight him again, legit, fair and square on our own terms." And they did, and that was great. They, in fact, it was so great they did it twice, and I thought it was even better the second time. It's just one of those things where it's like I couldn't have seen DonBrothers without these three characters interacting with the Don Bros, and knowing that they weren't always supposed to be there makes me really sad because I don't know what show we would have gotten if they weren't.
Yeah, so don't get into that too much because that's literally going to be my next thing.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah, it's just true. Like without those three, I don't think the show would have hit as hard. Like they definitely were the best foils for each of these characters. And I also like the skit where technically Saru brother noticed the connection between like the Notos. Like he was like, "Oh, Momotaro's got Sonoi and what's it called? Sonozo's got Haruka. Maybe I should pair up with Sononi."
And then he got to eat cake, and not even the right cake at that.
Exactly. I'm done. Sorry, I went on again, but that was that was good.
So what Cloudy brought up was what I was going to bring up. So we found out like fairly recently that the original plan was to actually have these three Notos killed off halfway through this season.
Oh shit!
And they were going to end up getting replaced up, which is part of the reason why, like when like Sonoi gets killed by Taro, like we kind of start going into a little bit of a monster of the week type thing for like 3 episodes type things, because they were like reworking things on the back end on how they were going to carry this forward. And of course that all changed because Sonoi's actor once again sat down, had lunch with Inoue, and was like, this is how this should go. And it's just like, oh, they ended up changing things up, which is great that Inoue is one of those writers that literally listens to his actors and is just like, I'll make something for you, my guy. Got you. And it was great. But knowing technically what the replacements technically were with Sonoshi, Go, and Roku, how do you think the show would have changed dramatically had we actually lost our trio that we have now and they got replaced by those three way earlier on? Because, of course, the show as a whole would be dramatically different. And I think it would have lost a lot of people because you had a lot of these character dynamics that were being brought in. You had a lot of that drama element that was already like being seed planted, only for it to technically get dropped off had they gone that route. And I'm so glad that they did not go that route, because it would have been a different show by the end of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I feel on that. So yeah, Ash, how do you feel?
I feel like
that possibility.
If those if the original Noto were killed off, I feel like our characters, our main Don Bros, would not be where they are at the end of the show, and they would have changed a lot. Like I loved like the sort of generals that we saw, like Sonoshi and his gang. They were wacky, they were silly, they were goofy, they were a lot of fun. But I feel like they weren't the driving factors for our characters and where they would get at the end. And if they were killed off, then we would have had a totally different ending and a totally different show and end game for our characters. And I feel like I'm glad they stuck around.
Yep. Knox, quick thoughts.
Quick thoughts. Boom. I believe DonBrothers ended started like what would y'all say DonBrothers, when did DonBrothers' fuck it era start?
What do you mean fuck it era? Like go off?
Like there were some episodes and then Taro died and they introduced Jiro and then they introduced Murasame. But like when they just started fuck it, when they said fuck it and they just started writing fire every week, regardless of like the fire was small or big.
I'm trying to think. Like the chat probably knows. Yeah, I'm like, chat probably knows what was the episode that I like ranked as like fuck you Inoue, because I literally ranked an episode fuck you Inoue at the end of it. And and I
That's
would
what we
say that
heard.
that's literally the start of it. That
So-
episode would be it.
Whatever episode that is when like I'm pretty sure the changes were made for when so that 31
I will say
Oh.
31. I'm okay with that.
yeah that's after Taro died the second time, huh?
That's after. I think that's after.
Jiro came back then.
But-
I'm sorry, not Jiro.
I think that's when
came back.
Sonoe got the juice,
Yeah, Sonoe got the juice. that
yeah.
episode.
which is literally like when things technically would have changed script wise, because Sonoe wasn't supposed to come back, and since he got them Taro juices, he got brought back. So yeah,
Yeah.
After Sonoe drinks Taro's red Gatorade and he starts
red velvet cake drink.
red
Listen,
velvet
it ain't red flavor. I don't know what red flavor is, Theo.
red velvet. My bad. So I have to act like this. Fruit punch flavored.
That's right.
Gatorade.
That's right.
Because I can't just give you red. Red is not a flavor. I would say that's when they were like, okay, they sat in the writers' room and they said, "Fuck it, we can write anything and it would just be fire." And I believe when they made those changes to the script, and that's when they made the changes to the Noto, and they were bringing people back, and that's really when they got hard into it. That show, I want that show. I don't know where we'd be. I genuinely have that little part where it gets crazy. I don't know where we'd be without it. Honestly, I think the world would be colder than what it is, and
True.
we'd all be crying and shit. Because the way Sono Go and Sono Roku were introduced, by that point in the story, their personality traits for a long period of time would have just been annoying. I think to most.
Yeah,
They are a bit more. All three of them are like
Extreme.
shrill in a way. Like they're all a bit more shrill and a bit more hard up and a bit like all of the character that we're used to our bad having, and their bad is worse. It's worse by comparison. It's like parents who have raised kids and their kids are teenagers, so they don't know what it's like being around babies again.
well, one of them definitely doesn't, because he tossed one into
Oh
the
my
ether.
god,
So
no. Let's not talk about that poor baby. Is never coming back.
we're gonna keep bringing it up. That baby's gone.
Baby's
True.
passed away.
He's
No
gone.
bullshit. So it was I feel like that in long term, that would have if like their brand, if it had come any longer or it had stayed any longer, it would have been really annoying really fast. And that probably would have tanked the show in a lot of people's eyes.
Yep. Well, I mean, the show in itself tanked the show in itself for a lot of people, as I've come to realize. DonBros has a lot of haters, so
Damn.
yeah.
I'm not one of them.
They're missing out.
No, obviously. So, all right, Claudia, how did you feel about the second? If that second half did come to fruition, and we lost our original Noto trio and got gifted the trio that we see later on.
We wouldn't have had like the Christmas episode either, and seen Sononi in
Yeah.
the Christmas dress.
Oh, absolutely! I would not have transformed it to Santa and chugged that almond milk eggnog. That would
I'm
have
just
been...
saying. Go ahead, please continue that.
No.
Finish that
was,
sentence. I want to see that.
that was it. No, it was terrible.
True.
Coquito's
But
better.
The fact that there is like a timeline that actually exists where they did die, and we didn't, and they got replaced by those three, and like, because think about like if Sonoe didn't have that conversation with Inoue, just to be like, I don't think that you should just kill them off like that. Like, I can't even imagine how different of a show we would have gotten, because there would have definitely been less development on all fronts, and because the Noto weren't just developed by the bros, they helped the bros develop as well. Like, obviously Tsubasa's ending as well would have been dramatically different. He probably would have ended up alone.
He would end up with Jiro's crusty sock.
Exactly. Who knows if Haruka would have even, enjoyed or pushed herself to make manga as well as she did without Sonono like Sonoza pushing
Oh
for
my God,
that.
so no. Don't introduce new characters, bro.
Oh yes, obviously
Sonono all over here. Shit.
Sonono's green because we didn't get a Green Ranger this season. So that's gonna happen. But and then obviously without Sonoe, the connection, like the guy who's like closest to Taro, probably like the closest right hand man to Taro, like that was a pretty good relationship that I think wouldn't have. So if we did have them replaced, and by those three, I would the only thing I could have said is I would have probably dropped DonBros at that point, but I would have finished it regardless because I have to make a proper opinion on every show. I have to finish them because otherwise, that's kind of hypocritical. You know what I mean? So I definitely wouldn't have been into it. I would have just been pushing myself to finish that show.
So I've got a comment on here that's giving me a slight conspiracy theory.
Oh no. Does that have to do with Sonono?
No. Kenneth Lee says that baby came to life in Geats. What if Ace is that baby? And that baby getting thrown into Noto space is how he got stuck into the game of the DGP.
Oh
and
my God.
That's how that all happened. Is all there. Like his origin story happened in DonBros. Like it's all right there.
It's all
there.
So what you're saying is that Inoue wrote Geats?
Inoue wrote the outline for Geats, and Takahashi said, "Let me copy your homework," because Takahashi's trying to be the Inoue of Reiwa era, and I'm sticking by that. So
the thing, I don't want to get too distracted on Takahashi, but I did like his writing. I just currently we're in a bit of a doldrum.
What for Geats?
Yeah,
the same show where the little girl turned into the giant bull and just.
Don't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie.
I know you may like it. I don't.
That girl said. The girl said, well, I mean, we're from the future anyway, so it doesn't even really fucking matter. I'll just give
it's all ancient history, so
this won't really matter. I'm just gonna destroy this right now.
Just gonna fire it up.
These guys are relics to us anyway, so yeah, I got them.
Who really cares? That I get why you wouldn't like it, but you gotta admit that's pretty funny.
Oh no, it's hilarious. It's just I don't think Geats is bad by any means. I'm just like, I'm currently just at that stage where I'm a little bored and I need certain things to be answered. Otherwise, I'm confused. And not in a good way.
So I was going to get into the next topic, but I forgot about one character that we always forget, and it's always Don Murasame. Fucking what? Don Murasame. Ooh. Exactly. Exactly. Ooh. It seems like an afterthought at this point. Like, a character that... they left a whole portion of the intro that makes you think that there could have been someone in that like top left corner at the intro for somebody. Nah, that shit stayed blank. That shit stayed blank till the end. Could have been Don Murasame, but nah. Don Murasame is a character that is completely underdeveloped, underutilized, has the deepest of lore, is always my running joke. The lore that we never properly got there.
Never dived into.
Oh my God.
No, it's like we got nuggets of information. So the nuggets of information is that essentially he was created to essentially be the Noto's tools to combat the Juto. That was the original reason why they created him. The reason why he has the Don name is because since the Don clan are the ones that created the Juto, then of course, siphoning some of that energy is how they managed to create a killer for the Jutos. The only problem with that is he apparently came out too early. We don't know why. And then he's got the consciousness on the back of his head known as Mother, which we found out from future Don Murasame doesn't even have. So it's not something that's innately built into him. We never found out who Mother was. She's just there. And we thought that his plotline might tie something into Jiro, since the only time that Don Murasame talked human-ish would be with Jiro. But then that never properly came to be. By the end, Mother was like, fuck it. Kill them all. Because you got this. You do what you got to do, my son. And it's just like, where did this come from? Like, where did this come from? Was reading manga for that long what turned Mother? Really? I don't believe that. Nah. So, like, also, I still stick with the plan for Dark Dawn Oni Taijin was never something that was planned. It was an afterthought, and that's why that CG was a hot mess. They didn't have a physical suit made for it. The CG was the worst in the series.
Every time we saw
terrible.
Every time we saw it, it was
and
the worst.
The fact that the actual toy was P Bandai just implies that all of that was last minute addition. Was literally stuff. So yeah.
And it's not even fun to look at like Battle Caesar Robo was. It didn't hit. I think and I know what that robot was for. I know the robot was for because they thought they were gonna hit Battle Caesar levels of not Battle Caesar. Battle Caesar levels of importance, and people were like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna want to get Black Oni Taijin to do blah blah blah." Like it, if they weren't gonna put it in the show, they should have left it alone. Because Dawn Oni Taijin is a beautiful mecha, so it would have been if you were going to make a mecha that was like that had the basis of Dawn Oni Taijin and make something like Black Oni Taijin, they should have waited. They should have waited and then introduced it in this next crossover or whatever. But what we got was not. No, it doesn't make the toy look good.
Honestly, considering how often Don Bros had like episodes where they either rushed through the mech fight or didn't even have it at all because that wasn't really that important to the show. I feel like they really could have just did without it. It really didn't have to happen.
It didn't add anything to it. It was an ass pull, and not even a good ass pull at that. It was probably the worst ass pull of the season was him doing that, and they never even explained where the other parts of like Black Oni Taijin came from, like the other limbs that just attached to him. It's like, okay, it would have made more sense if he just stayed as like a dark version of like Don Robotaro, and that's it. But no, he went the full mech, and it's just like, okay, all right, I'm not buying this toy. But yeah, Ash, you're the only one that hasn't gotten their thoughts out.
Don Murasame seemed cool, like cool concept when the leaks were coming out. But then when we finally got the character, like they showed up, they were mysterious and interesting, and then they never did anything with it after. And I feel like maybe there was plans for something to do with that character, but they never went anywhere. Like we had the interaction with Jiro, like you guys were saying, but it never went anywhere. Like cool suit, cool design, cool concept where they could turn into like other rangers and use the gears. But it just never went anything. I mean, Don Killer for a fucking gag character was more interesting than Don Murasame. And I dare to say that hot take, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, Don Killer. I'm like, that episode, for it being a one-off, I'm just like,
that's
a great ass episode.
I was thinking we'd see Don Killer again or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Saber did it better. Character who's a sword.
All right, Knox.
I forgot to say, I saw, because I am fucking online all the time, I saw a Ginger Herb post a while ago. I think it was Ginger Herb or the Legion. I don't remember which one of the two. That's my bad. But they were saying Murasame is really bad when you don't look at him as a sword with sentience. Like a weapon with no purpose, no real other thing to do but fight, like a weapon who gained sentience other than like a person. Because regardless like of whatever happens, Murasame is still just the sword. He's just a sword with he's like Psycho.
You mean the greatest character in Saber of all time?
Yes, I do. Yes,
I mean Yuri?
I mean Yuri. Yes.
Don't you dare describe Yuri as any way related to Murasame.
Because the Murasame body is really the sword. It's not the Murasame.
Oh yeah, I know. I get you. That's why I made that comparison earlier. It's just I get really that.
Funny. So,
but with like such a character-driven show, it's just so odd that like you'd have to think of a character as nothing but a weapon to kind of find them enjoyable.
Oh no, yeah, it's odd as shit. It's really it is out there, but that is another way to look at it. That's just like Murasame just exists in nature for whatever. Well, not in nature, but exists. This is another thing that people see. I definitely think. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If you were to like, okay, so what were your initial thoughts when you saw Murasame? Like, what was where did you think Murasame could have gone or was going to go? That would have been your take on it.
I thought
for me, I thought that it was going to be something that's going to tie into like the greater Don clan thing because of the fact that he seemed like, when you put Don in front of the name, it kind of implies that it's going to have a greater like symbolism when it comes to the representation that you're going to have in this show. Because I was like, in the thought process of we might have like a warring houses type deal, like the different three heads of Don clan trying to like fight for the throne. Because at the point in time where he was introduced, I was in the thought process of, well, Jiro's entire like aesthetics doesn't mesh with the entire DonBrothers, so maybe he's going to end up forming his own team that's going to have a similar aesthetic similar to him, and Don Murasame would be like the last bit. I also thought that Don Murasame would end up being like a 1 second bit that would end up going to Sonoe later on, because the thing is, Murasame, if you know the lore regarding it, you knew already ahead of time that it was going to be a blade. A lot of people were like, no, it's not going to be a sword because Taro already has a sword. It's like, no, but he doesn't use the sword as a changer. He uses a blaster as the changer. So for Don Murasame, I thought the sword was going to be the changer. The way that he was introduced, I was like, okay, this might be a one-off character. And then Sonoe gets the blade and ends up getting the mantle of Don Murasame. And thus we end up having our three like warring heads of the Don clan. That's the way that I was thinking originally on how this could go. Completely wrong. Obviously completely wrong, but that was my headcanon on how I thought it might have ended up going.
It would have been great though.
It would have been great though.
Yeah. I definitely think
no.
Oh, sorry.
No, you got it. Go ahead. My bad.
No. I just meant if when Tsubasa claimed Murasame for himself, I thought it was a very missed opportunity to not allow him to either henshin into Murasame or see him use it more often than he did, because he usually only used it in civilian mode, or by that time he became the black alien Ninja Ranger. I forget the series in my head, but Kaku Ranger. Sorry, and
Ninja Black. He was just in Revice.
I know. I'm sorry, I failed, but I really thought that. But I thought that he would be a great if him finally getting like his own suit that way, because Tsubasa always felt more like the sixth anyway. So I thought him becoming like Murasame would fit, and it would also been nice to see them be like, "Oh my God, Tsubasa's been Murasame the whole time."
It would have gone crazy.
I would have laughed my ass off at that. Sorry, go ahead. Ash, you want to say anything about it?
Yeah, I feel like Murasame missed opportunity. I thought they were going to become like an antagonist throughout the show, or they would join the Noto if like they would help them. But they just did their own thing, and they would like I thought they were going to join the Noto, and then I thought they'd be their own driving force. So like everyone said, we've got all these own factions, but Murasame just kind of dipped after a couple of episodes, and we never saw him that often, which was kind of sad.
True. And when he did show up, it was like random, and you never wanted him to be there because it would always mean a bad CGI mech fight.
The thing is, they kind of laid the seeds that he was greatly related to the Don clan in the episode in which everybody that touched him got possessed, and started acting crazy, except for like Taro. Once he picked them up, he took all that residual, and because he was like out of energy that episode, he picked them up. He instantly got juiced up. And I was just like, okay, so this much must like greatly imply that Don Murasame does have a proper tie-in with the Don clan. Once again, missed opportunity to fully flesh those type of things out. So yeah, does that answer any of your questions, Nox? Since You posed it.
I love that. I love y'all's takes on it because me, like, I couldn't see where it could go. I really fuck with those ideas though. That shit is. I love the because I was thinking too. I was like, okay, so we're gonna have where like they kind of teased the 3-way showdown last year, and I was like, okay, cool. So we're gonna see the 3-way showdown this time. You know, you got the red and the sixth, and it's not just two motherfuckers fighting. It's everybody. I thought it was gonna be like a free for all. No, we're not doing it. Okay, all right, cool. Or you know, we go in, we have some really serious revelation about who the voice in Murasame's head was, or I mean something like I get it. I yeah. I like him, I really do, but faults are faults, man.
I mean, his suit design and weapon, fantastic, and his theme, A tier. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's great sounds.
Yeah,
he
had a great theme.
So on the subject of Murasame, we're gonna touch on like the last major plot point before getting into like the end of things, since we are getting close to the 3-hour mark over here, and this is, I feel like all of these like live streams go on longer than the last ones. Like the last one, we had a whole Shark Tank bit that I was like, oh, this is not gonna last long. We went on for like 2 hours.
Yep.
Like pitching these Shark Tank bits. Yep. But the thing is, plot holes within this show. And there are several plot holes. Of course, we have touched upon Murasame's pretty much his entire arc in itself feels like a major plot hole. But the first one I want to bring up is the Avataro gears. So if you think about it, like in a lot of the early episodes when they defeated the Hitotsuki, Kaito was the one getting the gears.
The gears.
Yeah.
And then it was the episode in which Taro gets brought back. They show you that the gear is the original Zenkai gear, and then it changes into the Avataro gear. We never get that paid off like after that. Like they just brush it aside.
Isn't there an episode where like a gear appears in front of him and he has this like scared look on his face, like he's like, oh no.
Yeah, so I know which episode you're talking about, and it's literally the episode in which it's the the Noto that finish off the Hitotsuki. Thus, the guy gets completely deleted as opposed to getting cleansed. So that's how come when Kaito gets the gear, he's just like, I wasn't expecting it to go down like this. So that was like the first Hitotsuki that was defeated by the Noto, in which he has that reaction. But then the rest of them, he's just like gathering them up, which we thought might lead into like a bigger Kaito role in things from Zenkaiger. But then, you know, by the end of it, we don't have anything.
True.
So, yeah, that's a plot point that I just feel was started in the beginning, but dropped like early on. So any input, anybody have anything to say regarding like that minor plot point that just seemed like it was going to be a big thing, but then ended up becoming nothing?
I feel like the gears themselves were useless. Like for the most part,
they barely transformed.
They never really used them. Substanding a lot of obviously Momotaro used them a bunch. The one time Tsubasa used them a few times to become, I think, Ryuso Black quite a few times just to give him an actual body, I think. And they weren't really necessary for the overall plot. I don't even know what purpose they served.
Yeah, I don't know what part of a greater, like, 5-year plan that Shirakuda had in general for trying to do this, but they clearly dropped it.
Also, Zio's going to get pissed about this, but don't forget about the size inconsistencies.
Yeah, the shield for Dandura Goku. Every time he picked them up, they were tiny. Put them into the shield, they were huge as fuck. I'm like, why? Why do you have a hockey puck as your fucking... Okay, whatever. That became a major sticking point for me, these cutaway shots. Anyone else have anything to throw regarding the Avataro gears?
I really feel like dude straight away from him. I'm not going to be long. I'm not trying to be long. I feel like dude straight away from him because, like, we tried something, couldn't really think of anything. Fuck him, we'll throw him a bone every once in a while. We'll use the gears when we absolutely need to. But the gears just don't really pertain to the bigger story that they were trying to tell, so they dropped it. That's just, and they used it every once in a while because you got to sell a couple toys. You know what I'm saying? We built this big ass fucking catalog for you to use, and we just dropped it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, I don't, if that's the way you want to do it, sure, but I wasn't really keen on that either.
Yeah.
I do feel people weren't actively trying to buy the Avataro gears versus the Zenkai gears, because I know when Zenkaiger was out, that would be like everybody's collection piece, and then they were trying to get the die-cast ones, and I'm like, why? Why do you want these? Then I got the Memorial Blaster, and I'm like, ooh, I see why you want these die-cast ones. I kind of want them all too, but I didn't do it. Nah, too much money. Nah, not happening. Ash, any thoughts when it comes to the gear changes?
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't use them that much with how much they were like sort of shown off with all the toys and that. There was a really good gag in it. I think it's when they all turn into Loopat and that, and Kijino is like, oh, why didn't I transform?
Great.
Yeah. But like, I'm surprised we didn't get an origin on why they didn't use them or why they're using them, but some things in DonBrothers just didn't get explained, either brushed aside or they're there for just being there. But I'm glad they didn't use them like every other episode. Like every other episode they'd be doing like a Gokai change sort of thing with all the with all the forms and that. Like they only used them in certain moments, and when they did use them, you did get some cool moments like Inuzuka becoming Kaku Black and stuff like that. That was cool.
Yeah.
Or when they both became Ryusou Red and Ryusou Gold, that was a cool moment as well.
Yeah, I also find it weird. Back when we were talking with Murasame, the initial toy listings, they initially only paired like shark-based Sentai for Murasame's like changers, but then he transforms into Abade Killer, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Like, what?
Yep.
It's like, okay, all right.
So
Clearly,
cool
the plan is there is no plan.
Yep.
The plan is there is no plan. So.
I honestly thought it was like he was do like the evil ranger that they typically do every now and then.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that as well.
But nope.
But then they market him with all the shark Sentai, and I'm like,
great.
Shouldn't have done it. The next plot hole was essentially like Natsumi being kidnapped. The thing is, they never really. Natsumi had the weirdest like getting got by a Juto ever, because there's this shadowy figure that shows up, a Juto that's never explained who the fuck that even is, sucks her up out of everybody else, and then she just comes back as Miho. We never got an explainer. I thought that was going to be the final boss for the longest time, was going to be that fucking Juto.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't even know who that guy is.
Like,
There's people thinking, oh, it was Terasaki. Why did he handle this so much more differently than everything else that's been going on? Like, that's another major plot hole. That's a glaring plot hole for me.
Don't
Is
forget
that
his
entire
lie.
arc?
Like he lied straight up to Tsubasa, or that maybe they just didn't go through with it. The whole wait a year thing.
Plus, that was a Juto that could properly talk without being transformed into another thing. But they were using the base cat Juto form for the silhouette.
Right.
Because I was, once again, looking at that episode again before this live stream. Yeah, it was just a base cat Juto silhouette that was going on in there. But they could talk, and they had this presence about them. But then, nothing. So...
Oh, right.
Yeah, any thoughts when it comes to that particular Juto arc line that we just never got?
dude, I forgot about that.
Yeah, same here. Like, I forgot it.
I mean, it's
that's lived rent free on the back of my mind for so long. I was like, dead ass. That's gonna be the final villain. That silhouetted Juto is gonna be the final villain. You know, it fucked me on that one.
I remember the scene, but I didn't think he'd ever come back. I thought he was just there to explain why Natsumi went missing. I didn't think he'd actually play a big role.
That's another thing.
It was just weird. No, the thing is, it's just like the way that Natsumi was captured in herself versus every other Juto transformation that we had seen up to that point was dramatically different which is why I'm like, this needs an explainer because it's so much different than every other Juto conversion we've seen.
Mhm.
I don't know if I missed it or I just don't remember. But I also need to an understanding of why specifically her as the crane Juto is the enemy of all like the other cat, wild, feline-esque Juto out there. Because
And why she's technically the only one.
Yeah, she's the only crane Juto we see. I thought there'd be more or others. She's, as far as I know, she's the only crane Juto.
Yeah, she is.
Maybe they did the Don Clan thing with them too.
Oh, you
Yeah,
mean
like
they
the
cleansed
bird-
all the crane Juto?
And they cleanse all
Like
the
the cat's eating the birds.
Yeah.
But then why would they go through the effort of kidnapping her? It's only been a year. They couldn't have cleansed them all that quick, right?
Mm.
Yeah, so real quick, that guy.
That's
that
a
guy right there.
monster, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy gives big
That
bad
guy.
energy, big evil energy.
Mm.
I'm just like, why was that just like never paid off?
Borderline.
Like,
Wait, the back of his shirt says "Bark a 7-star" and oh my,
bark a severe
Bark-
start in life.
Starting life.
starting life. Oh god, ironic.
Yeah, so it's just like those like individual plot points that just seem like, why was this here? Like a lot of the plot holes I feel do tie into the Jutos, and I feel that they kind of like did away with them so quickly that it kind of like diminished them as a like villain for the show, because like earlier I mentioned Haruka's boyfriend before everything happened. But then we had an episode with Haruka's boyfriend's mom being a
Juto.
a Juto.
Mhm.
Never addressed again. Never just she wasn't in the forest or anything like that or anything. She didn't get sucked back into the forest. It just seemed like a one-off thing.
Yep.
It's like, oh, okay, so this is what you're gonna get. Okay, I gotcha. Y'all are doing nothing when it comes to this. So I can understand some of the people that get invested in some of the plot points of the show and then go like, there is no plot. Well,
Mm.
I mean, that's the thing. There technically it was a character drama. That's the entire thing. When it comes to DonBros, you have to accept that it's not a story that's meant to be good versus
Good
bad.
versus evil,
It's seeing these
yeah.
characters change from episode 1 to the final episode and be like, these guys went through shit
Yeah,
and they're better for it.
and technically, it's still not even over in their own world.
It's not.
They haven't solved anything really.
So that any other like plot holes that you guys can think of that, you know, kind of like rubbed you the wrong way or anything like that you feel like should have been addressed but didn't get addressed?
No, not for me. Not for me.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm giving it a second because I just want to make sure I like think of all of them.
Yeah, same.
I mean, for a lot of these, it's like all of Taro's power-ups and shit like that. I'm just like, yeah, he pulled them out of his ass. But the thing is, like, the entire way that this show was set up is like, you can accept that he just pulls shit out of his ass. So it's fine. It's not a show that takes itself seriously to the point that it's like, no, you got to explain where that power-up came from. No, it's Taro. Taro just pulls shit out of his ass.
I guess I gotta say,
Someone does mention the Noto Council, and the thing is, like, there are people that do think, is Sono Na and Sono Ya, are they the Noto Council? Do you guys think that they are the Noto Council that we saw earlier in the series, even though we know it's not the same actors? But do you think that they're meant to represent those same people?
I think last
what
minute
else?
you could get it in. Sorry.
go one of you guys.
No, I feel like last moment you could probably retcon those characters being the Noto Council because we never saw him again.
We never did get them in like out of mask or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it is kind of
Plausible.
understandable like that it could be, but I kind of don't feel that it is just because of the actors that they did end up casting for them.
Mhm.
And I do feel that
I think they were some kind of executioners.
yeah, they
Yeah,
could
they
have been like
were.
the last resort that was just tossed in there for it. And otherwise, I feel that one of them would have made a comment about that tasty ass sandwich that Taro gave him, but they didn't because I mean it was all about the sauce. They were all about the sauce, so didn't happen. Someone mentioned Jin Sin. Well, Jin Sin was raising Taro. He did mention that within the show itself. That the reason
Yeah.
why he is locked up is because he did get snapped, like because he raised the last of the Don clan members. But I guess the issue with that is after finding out Terasaki's entire thing of him actually being a Don clan member, it makes you wonder, why did Taro not fall under another Don clan member, but Jiro did, but Taro's the proper heir to the throne. That's another thing that, like, technically, yeah, once you start getting into the nitty-gritty of it and thinking about it in my head, that is kind of a bit of a plot mishap. Because I don't think that maybe Terasaki from the beginning was meant to be a Don clan member, just like Jin was. But the thing is,
Mm.
Jin kind of served a similar purpose as Terasaki, so that might be the retcon to it, because Jin did say that his entire reason for being there is to serve as the gatekeeper to prevent the Noto from going into the other realms,
I don't think
which
it's
is
how,
what Terasaki does.
because
I
we
don't know,
never saw him
visiting
do
hours
it.
are over.
Damn it.
So
Listen, I got
No,
more pasta. I can whip it up real quick. It's keto friendly.
look, I already ruined fucking keto with that goddamn ranch drink. Like,
Oh no.
Are you wait? Are your insides okay?
No.
I know I'm gonna have a bad morning. I can
Listen,
tell you that.
These insides are gonna unravel tonight, and you don't want to be there for that.
It's gonna be a
I'm
rough time.
praying for you, brother.
I feel so bad for Zio.
No, so yeah, that's how I feel when it comes to Jin. But yeah, it's like I do wish that we did get the scene of him. Like, how did he get snatched up from Taro? Like, what
Yeah.
age did Taro lose Jin? Is a bigger question that I have.
True.
Like,
When did Taro
he's-
get abandoned?
Exactly. And how did that all take place? Did he just fade away? Like, or did someone come snatch him up? In which case, if someone did snatch him up, it's just like, Taro's right fucking there. You Notos hate the Don clan. Like, kill him. But
He's right
it
there.
didn't happen. Didn't happen. Like,
Also, what
It's
age did he
already-
start henching is also my question. Like, what age did that blaster just be like, okay, you're old enough. It's time to go for a ride, boy.
so yeah. Any other plot holes? I'm asking the chat this time, since y'all can think of. Well, y'all were fermenting thoughts, but I don't
I
know
have a
if you
quick
guys
question
came up
for
with
you,
anything.
Zio, if you don't
Yeah.
mind. So, like, overall, like, obviously, like, this Sentai specifically is just like a very character driven, very nonsense heavy Sentai with like very laissez-faire on the plot, we'll say. Is this something you'll like to see in future Sentai, something very similar to this, or do you like it when they change it up, like the tone a lot more?
The thing is, if they try emulating this, you got to have the right writing staff and you got to have the right actors. This show managed to be like a 10 out of 10 because they had the perfect formula. They had the best actors that could do this.
Mhm.
Inoue knew what he was looking for when it came to this. Plus, Inoue's a well-seasoned writer. He's been doing this shit since the 80s. Like, he's written so much shit that he's gotten this down to a formula. Plus, he listened to the cast and crew when it came to writing this out. He wasn't driven by his own like ego in terms of like, no, I'm gonna see my vision get driven out to the end. I don't care what y'all think. He actually sat down with the actors and listened to what they had to say, how they got attached to their own characters, and he made it work. He made it fucking work. So
Mm.
you have to have that trifecta of greatness for this to work again. Otherwise, No, the entire thing when it comes to Sentai is I feel it has become too formulaic. DonBrothers is a breath of fresh air when it comes to changing the status quo, and I would love for other creatives to just take the conventions of Sentai and flip it on its head and do something different to just breathe new life into this almost 50-year-old franchise. Like that's why DonBros worked because we came in expecting one thing, we got a whole different thing and a whole bunch of other things and a can of worms and some cyanide and some mushrooms and some pills. We got the blue pill, we got the red pill, we got the black pill, we got the white, we got everything in between. And it's great. And while like the whole reason why I'm cautiously optimistic when it comes to King Oger is because it seems like we're returning back to formulaic. So I'm hoping to get proven wrong when it comes to King Oger, but that's how I'm feeling now from what we've seen so far. But that's why I love DonBros.
I gotcha. Although I guess to answer the question of whether or not there are any more plot holes, there definitely are. The thing about it is the show made me not give a fuck. I don't care.
There was another one that I saw in the chat actually before the stream started, and it was the whole how everybody became a DonBrother, like with their cell phones showing the like roulette slot machines.
Right.
That never got explained. That also never got explained. It just happened.
It just happened.
Yeah.
Randomly.
So
that's how I do.
Now, I would have loved to explain if there was like more DonBrothers, because Kaido does say there's been over 1,000 DonBrothers, and
9,000.
that guy in that, 9,000. Okay, so I'm wondering what's up with that. That never gets explained. That's just like a one-off comment. So we know there was more DonBrothers before our current ones, but yeah, I don't want to say a plot hole, but just a bit of information that they don't expand on.
Yeah. So to move on to the last topic, and it's really like, how do we go from here in terms of DonBros? Because there's supplemental content that we are going to end up getting. We are going to get Zenkaiger versus the DonBros. We are going to get DonBros versus King Oger in the future.
DonBrothers versus Upper Ranger.
Yep, that's still something that we've yet to have gotten, but we know is coming. And there's a director's cut of that final episode that's going to be coming out too. And I've never been more excited for a director's cut of anything in a while. And I fought for the Snyder cut. So I'm definitely like excited for this type of thing. And overall, like,
do we know when that director's cut is dropping?
Is it getting a Western release?
Yeah, on the Cat website.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, once it goes on there, then it'll hit up HBO Max soon after. Just just sign up for the Premium Plus membership. It's the extra one. You got to find the hidden button down below the copyright, where you buy like 3,000 shares of stock while you're at it of Warner Discovery. So,
not legit stock advice, just to clarify.
Look, I bought a lot of Nintendo stock this past week. I'm just saying that Mario movie's gonna blow up. Man. Console movie, shit, not financial advice.
Zelda console movie. Oh no, yeah.
Speaking of movies, how could they come out with a Flash movie considering all the things that actor did?
Oh my god, we'll talk about that off stream. We'll talk about that off stream. That's not a topic for on stream.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Sorry,
that's a whole can of worms. Anyway, okay, so yeah, in terms of DonBros, we touched on this literally in the beginning of it, but in terms of what would you like to see from here with this cast and crew? I know Knox in the beginning, you were like, they're done. This is it. You're fine with it being over. But if there was one supplemental content you would like to see from this show afterwards, what kind of special would you like to see?
Well, I would be like, I want a year after thing, I think I would like to see. I would like to see some things with some origin stuff. Maybe like a side story about the day Taro became Don Momotaro and his first team.
Yeah. His
Well, the
early
thing
years,
is, it's
maybe?
like he said that he never ran into the other team members.
Oh.
Oh, that's true. He's never
Because when
seen all.
Kaito explained that there was so many of them, he was just like, "That's weird. I never ran into them." And it's implied because in the first episode, he's making connections with everybody as he's doing his delivery routes. That he never ran into the other people that were DonBrothers in the beginning.
That's so like he was fighting by himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they did, a lot of them did misuse their powers.
Because that's the thing. It's like they did explain that. I think it was with the counterpart to Saru brother
The noodle
when
episode.
when it happened. He was like, "Well, what happened when the DonBrothers showed up?" "Oh, I just rejected it." And he was like, "Wait, you can do that?" And that's why they did it when they were trying to ignore Taro. That one episode in which he died at the end was because they were like, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna just say, nah, we're not gonna transform and dip out." Like that became a whole arc. So yeah.
No,
The
yeah.
little things.
Well, the day we'll just do it. The day where the gun came from, all of that, where the gun came from, and how it got to Don Momotaro. I think I'd like to see that as some side.
I mean, it would be weird if he became Don Momotaro as like a little kid and he's just out here fighting Hitotsuki since like small youngling.
A little
And then that's
4-year-old
it.
lifting a giant sword.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
out here doing it, and Jin's trying to tell him it's like, no, you don't do that. That's not how this works.
Listen, he'd still be beating them up, for or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Don't
yeah,
doubt it.
Cloudy, what did you think? Like, what do you think would be any supplemental material you would like to see from here?
I don't know if maybe this would be a good idea, but I would like to see maybe a V cinema of like either each character individually or each character paired off with one of the other characters, see where they're going and how life is going for them in that particular moment, and then ending it off with like maybe like one where they're finally together with Taro and everything, like maybe a year later or post White Taro, whatever we're going to call this new version of Taro, and whatever that dynamic is going to be like. Because I do love these characters, and I don't think there's enough there maybe to make a whole next season, but I definitely think a couple movies, a couple maybe side specials would be great to see. I especially think you need to give Murasame a side special.
Deepest
Yeah,
lore
something.
needs it.
Yeah, you just give him something. I don't care if maybe it's just a Murasame and Minoru special. Let's see if they can.
No, it's me and Minoru. It's me and Minoru. Like, get that right, Cloudy. It's me going to Toei HQ, slapping some senses to John Toei, and I'm gonna go team up with Minoru, and we're taking down Kermit the Frog. Kermit the fucking Frog is going the fuck down.
Oh my God.
That's how
I'm
this
just
is
imagining a horribly like the Kermit mouth moving with just serious Japanese like voice actors and English subtitles coming out, and it's just like you guys speaking in horrible dubbed over Japanese. Oh my God, that'd be so great.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it. All right, Ash, what's the supplemental material you'd like to see?
I don't know if this will ruin the moment, but I would love to see sort of like Taro becoming reborn after what happens in that big climactic finale. And the whole special is sort of him leading up to giving Haruka that delivery at the end of the final episode, like him going up the stairs and just before he rings the doorbell. But we kind of see him, how he gets the job again, him sort of like discovering his new life and sort of seeing how he just goes about his day before he meets his companions again.
Now that kind of segue, like the last thing that I want to address is just a lot of like speculation that people had regarding like a particular scene that only existed for like 2 seconds in the entire thing, and it's this.
Oh yeah,
That
sparked a lot of theories.
Yeah, that sparked a lot of theories when it came to like Black Kaito, if whether or not he had a memory reset himself. And I'm just like, no, because he remembers too much of his past life. That doesn't make any sense for him. And people were thinking that, and I'm just like, no, whether or not we're gonna see Taro come back in a white suit, I kind of don't think so, because even this suit in itself, like once I started freezing it frame by frame, it's CG. It's a computer generated recolor. It's not an actual recolor
White
of
suit.
the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the
So
white
it's
is
just
too
a little
shiny.
It is.
Yeah, that white. Yeah, and you can kind
Yeah,
of see
White on
the
the
black
armor.
in the middle. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
The entire thing's
Yeah,
a
it didn't
little
look
off
good.
when it comes to that aspect. So I really
And
think
then-
that this was just like just food for thought that was thrown in there just for like theorists to start grasping at straws. But it's just Inoue trolling the audience once again, like he did with almost every episode preview. So
He did it again.
So the thing is, it's like ending things. I have already said this in my last episode review, but DonBrothers has cemented itself currently as my favorite Sentai ever, with just how it carried itself, the characters, the drama, just the bombast of it all, breaking the conventions, giving me things that I didn't know that I wanted into a show, and just breaking the uniformity of this franchise. It is the breath of fresh air that I definitely needed in this show, in this franchise in general, and I do feel that a lot of people misunderstand this series, which is why they can't enjoy it. People that want just an A to B plot point, this isn't the show for you. If you want a show that is actually carried by its cast crew and how these characters' journeys go from beginning, middle, and end, this is the show for you, but you have to look past all the gags as well. The gags are great. They're good supplemental portions of this, but you got to look past the wackiness and the out of context moments when it comes to DonBros to really understand that there's a really good show in here. And you're probably just blindsided by some of the memes that you see coming out of the show. But for me, it is peak fiction in the literal sense of what fiction is, because Inoue definitely brought his best game. I hope he doesn't retire after this, but I'm just like, this would be like his swan song if he needed it to be, because he nailed it completely when it comes to this.
Flawless.
When it comes to like ratings and how you feel about this show as a whole, and chat, I will pose the question to you. Give this show a letter grading overall from start to finish on this while I go around. Cloudy, what did you think?
Overall, this is, if I had to rank it in terms of like, your typical tier list, this would be up there in S tier, right before Shinkenger on my list. And Shinkenger was previously my favorite season of Sentai. So,
all right, Ash, how did you feel about this series overall, and what would be your letter grade for it?
Loved it. Like, I want to say A.
Okay, all
Really
right,
great,
and Nox.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna deliver it to you like a like a sports commentator. So what we saw out there was some of the best ball handling for 50 episodes. We saw some of the best plays being made. There were no fouls. It was a clean game. When you are out there and you're giving it your best shows, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it definitely is one of my favorite matches in Tokusatsu history. It went up, it defeated Kamen Rider Revice. It was a blowout, though. I heard Revice was really handing it to him, and I mean like handing it to them like on a plate, because that last half I heard is really bad. So
Absolutely,
definitely.
So when it came in the scene, it started. It really days got brighter, and the sun came out. And I'm not gonna lie, this was the championship run. This was
so letter grading. What out of 10?
Or what was the score of the game?
Yeah. What was the score of the game, Nox? What would you commentated? But give me that score. What's the final score?
I'll be generous. When it comes to itself, I give it about 47 and 3.
Oh,
they,
damn!
Definitely pulled it off.
Definitely pulled it off.
It went up. It was. It was an utter blowout. It was a
Yeah.
blowout.
You're making me want to just go ahead and drink this mustard drink right now.
They stood no chance. They stood no chance. Oh my god.
It was a blowout.
Does it exist better than Canada?
Does it exist?
Canada
I
exists.
definitely
Let's talk about
believe
Quebec.
it doesn't.
No.
As Zio said earlier, this definitely was peak fiction. So no, I don't really think it exists. But I definitely believe that this is something that even the French Canadians can vibe to. This has been Noxadel.
Signing off.
There we go. That commentary has gone ahead and been submitted and transmitted and completely logged down. So as we look and review all of these scores, it seems like we're in agreement that the show was indeed a show. And that has been DonBrothers as a nutshell of a series. There's honestly way more that can be said about this show. But the fact that we went on for 3 hours and 26 minutes on a show, to be fair, we did talk for like 10 minutes about red velvet cake. I still think that it's red flavor.
You're wrong.
So we will go ahead and continue going down that route. Yes. I thank you all in the chat for staying consistent with us. We went really long, but the fact that we stayed in like the 50 view count the entire stream is just crazy to think for a tokusatsu channel. Like, that is great. Like, I normally only see like Marcos carry like numbers like that, so it is humbling that you guys have stayed with us for this long. So definitely appreciate all of that. So I'm just going to go around the room. Any last minute things that you guys want to plug, promote, or anything like that? Knox, I'll go to you because, of course, you guys stopped doing some shows. I'm kind of sad.
Oh, we didn't stop. We just had a couple of life things to take care of. Actually, we did stop. We're definitely on. We're definitely on a hiatus.
No, we definitely stopped.
We definitely stopped. Runaway Tokusatsu it's here. We're in a tough spot. There's some things we got to work out right now. Not between us. I mean, I just found out personally that Christian puts mayo on everything, and I've really known him solid for a good year. So like, this is currently ruining our friendship.
Oh my god.
So would we I don't know if we're coming back.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I can't recover from mayo.
I need one of those like friendship with Christian is over pictures with my ex on that very shitty meme. Like,
we definitely are currently in the middle of new white boy auditions. So if you are a white boy, you may
according to Twitter, I apparently am. So let me get my glasses ready, and we'll
get my glasses ready.
Yeah, you gotta lose the crown. You gotta lose the crown.
You gotta, and you have to just be like,
perfect.
be like straight faced. Just be like straight faced. Oh no, yeah, it works. It works. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this.
Okay.
Oh my god, he nailed the audition.
We're good. I am now officially white. My credit score has shot up by 32 points. This is amazing. This is amazing.
Oh, you could take out a loan.
I'm part of the majority.
Oh my god, I feel it. I feel it. I'm gonna go buy a yacht tomorrow.
Oh no,
it's gonna be great. I'm gonna grab Tsubasa's credit card.
We're gonna drink hard cider. We're gonna drink hard cider and play Warcraft.
No, he's probably gonna ask to drink some seltzer for tonight.
I've been drinking seltzers the entire. Look, I'm on my third can.
Oh no, I meant like normal seltzer for like to upset the stomach later.
And no, it's called pounding like 3 more of those so I can pass out and forget about tonight until like, I shit myself in the morning. But whatever. That's a story for another day. That's a story for another podcast.
I I need you to text me. I need you to like hit me up tomorrow and go, "Hey, yeah, I made it." I
I survived the ranch. No, the alcohol has definitely been numbing it. Like I have not had like the ranch burps or anything like that. I'm in a good state. The alcohol, I mean not the alcohol, the sugar in my blood right now is what's killing me. Because I haven't, like I said, like I've been on keto for over 2 years. That thing was
45 grams.
42 grams of sugar.
Oh,
look, I normally do like a close 200 push-ups when I wake up in the morning. I'm gonna have to push out like 1,000 tomorrow. Like I'm gonna fucking like I need to like get this shit out of my system. Like I'm way more like up there than I ever have been. So yeah. Back on to the closing remarks. Ash, anything you want to go ahead and plug before we end the stream?
Yeah, find me on YouTube at Deoxy360. Please watch my videos. They have been tanking very badly, and it makes me sad.
Your DonBros finale review did buku.
Good.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's surprising, but everything after that did average. But thank you, everyone who checked out my DonBrothers finale review. Hopefully, we can do good watching King Oja, which premieres tomorrow, Monday, whenever it gets dropped.
We'll see how the subs take. The thing is, I feel that there's a bigger fan outreach wanting to sub this thing versus DonBrothers because that first sub of DonBros took forever for us to get.
Yes.
If anyone remembers the infamous first sub of DonBros that had Haruka saying poggers. Yeah, that caused some controversy for some folks, but whatever. Yeah. Cloudy, I know you're a seat warmer and feet rubber, so what's your what's your plug?
Oh,
don't y'all do D&D and shit?
Shush! Shush! Don't say anything.
You don't want to promote that? You don't want to promote this?
Hold on.
I know you guys make it. Okay.
Just give me 1 second. I want to say something. First off, follow my YouTube channel at a nerd named Mark. Please do that immediately. I need that to be done immediately. Secondly, I do want to plug our YouTube channel, the Doncast. I do have. I'm going to be making Ultraman content. That's actually going to. My first video is coming up next week. I was going to show that to Zio later this week or so. So if anyone wants to see that, go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, we are out for tonight.
Mark is just going mad in the chat right now.
I guess we'll catch you all next week when it comes to King Oja's premiere. Until then, bye.